and we are once again live. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Qualifier number 3 of the second EU Trial by Blood Chivalry 2 Dueling Tournament. And once again, I'm your host, KWA Sushi, and with me once again is my good friend and co-caster, Jizuzo, also known as KRT Lancelot.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
are we ready? Are we ready for an absolutely action-packed bracket today? Grab your beers, guys, and enjoy yourselves. And it looks like we are off with one of our first matches. This is BKM Devil MC88. I hope I pronounced that right. Up against KRT Paramilitary. Is that right, Jizuzo?
Yeah, also known as Parametric. He's an Irish great club user.
Oh, fantastic. So again, 2 clan players, something we've seen quite often in this competition so far. 2 very strong players. I faced them several times in the dual yard and very solid. So we can see already they're getting into the swing of things. A good win for BKM Devil there. This might be the first war club that we've seen in this tournament so far.
Yes.
Not super common.
Well, what I've known, I've talked with Parametric in the past. He only plays the war club. That's literally the only thing he plays. And sometimes he's a bit experimental and uses a warhammer. But other than that, he's only war club man.
That's interesting because I've noticed that there are war club specialists are pretty rare in dual servers, but there are a few. And you'll often find that when they lean into the war club, they really do lean into it as their primary weapon. It's got a lot of sort of unique qualities. It's got a very those attack cancels as he circles Devil, just almost hypnotizing him there. But yeah, it's got some unusual characteristics. It's got a very long range and it's got a lot of speed for its range. It's one of the fastest and longest weapons in the game, which means it's quite conducive to some quite unique tactics. But maybe all those attack cancels biting him a bit because he gets disarmed, he's out of stam.
Bit too experimental today.
Yeah.
And he picks it back up.
But Devil does a nice overhead axel and shuts him out. Still, these are some relatively close fights so far, so good competitive match. I think as a member of BKM, we can expect very solid fundamentals from Devil. Good defense, good understanding of the basic mechanics. If Paramilitary wants to beat him, he's going to have to earn his spot, I think.
Yeah, he'll have to work for it.
Yeah. He's also somewhat at a disadvantage when the fights get drawn out and we get into long rallies, because you can see that Devil's using the poleaxe, which has that recent buff, which means that you get 20% less stam drain on a block, and he's up against the war club, which does actually have quite low stam drain. Even though it's a blunt weapon, the actual damage is quite low. Yeah, that was a big hit, so trying to avoid the attack.
Oh, but, nice leg drag.
Yeah, that was a nice ankle drag. A very common tactic amongst war club users is to really use the dodge mechanic. From what I gather, there's a bit of a strange quirk of this game where if you dodge back after hitting someone on the disarm, and that's what we were talking about, just sort of winning that stam more quite easily for the second time. But yeah, if a Devastator, from what I've gathered, hits someone's parry and they dodge immediately afterwards, they actually get increased dodge distance. Which is very conducive to sort of playing with the war club, as you have that range and can almost bait people as they whiff the riposte as you dodge away. The problem though is that Devil's using a poleaxe, which has a very, very long range on its stabs and overheads. So if he's not careful, that dodge won't necessarily get him out of range. Shout out to our referee Dobie Vittel there, one of our competitors from last time. Good to see that he's still keen on contributing to this tournament.
Oh, he went for a kick.
He did go for a kick, but Devil read it well. He actually turned away from his opponent. So this is something interesting where there's the most common way to deal with kicks is to attack it if your block is up and just sort of counter swing through it. But another thing you can do, which he's doing very well there, is he's actually turning his side to the opponent. If you turn your side to the opponent, the kick won't connect if it hits your hip. It has to hit you square on. So a very effective tactic, and as you can see there, able to punish the kicks really well as a result.
Yeah, seems like
4-0.
Parametric is really struggling against the poleaxe.
He is. I think the fights were somewhat close at the start, but it looks like Devil's just kind of almost getting the playstyle of his opponent downloaded, so to speak, and adapting very well. And it's getting quite hard for him to, quite hard for Parametric to get any hits in now. We have a couple of BKM competitors today. Besides Devil, there's one who I think anyone who watches dueling in the EU scene or plays in duels in the EU scene will be familiar with. The mighty Warbeast has returned. He couldn't play last time, I gather due to some technical issues, but fingers crossed he will actually be out in force today, and knowing Warbeast, I think he'll do very, very well. An absolutely fantastic player, one of the OGs of the Chivalry 2 dueling community. Nice rally here, and Parametric got a good hit on Devil. We'll see if they can, if he can keep his defense up, or whether or not he can, if Devil can stam him out again. And it's the battle of the overheads, but then one feed to slash, and there's that switch up, and that's sometimes it's all you need, just one slight change of tempo.
Honestly, as a KRT guy, I wish Parametric got a bit further into the tournament, but
of course,
he tried. He did well.
I gathered that some of them are frequent. Well, speaking of which, trying to go for the quick one-hit combo with the special. Oh my word, he lands it! He actually lands it! I'm not sure, because I've actually played, let's try and zoom in on one of them. So this is actually quite a classic strat of Pikachu's paw, where he will start with the special and just try and almost go for that one hit wonder finish, because at the end of the day you only need one. And I must say, the trick to dealing with it is
not getting hit.
Not getting hit is helpful. You kind of, from my experience, almost need to, and he's got stammed out, and that's what happens when you try and parry the special. It just does so much stam drain on a knight. The hardest hitting special in the entire game, 180 damage on a knight. I gather can all but disarm an archer with a single strike. So. Oh, and a nice overhead drag there to finish. Yeah, I'm not sure that was a really classy overhead. I'm not sure that strategy will work 5 times. I'll say that much. Maybe 1, maybe 2.
Well, there has to be a first time when someone does something 5 times in a row. Maybe it will work. We don't know.
5 more specials.
Yes.
We have a. Okay, so we have this match going on, and we also have Warbeast against Enma. So the question is, which one we'd rather see? I suggest we watch a bit of this, and maybe have a look at Warbeast as this match progresses. Hopefully we can catch as much of both of them as we can. And a disarm on Pikachu's paw, which is a bit surprising considering... Well, but a jab to finish with the knife, and this is turning into quite an interesting match. Maybe we'll just hang around for this one, because we could potentially have an upset on our hands. So he has to be careful with the special attacks, because, excuse me, they drain a lot of stamina, but they also cost a lot of stamina to use. So you can't be too haphazard. And yeah, so Meizo actually catching on here. And this is kind of what you need to do against this strategy. When you see someone likes to special all they can, you'd think that it's almost counterintuitive because you think at first, oh, I need to get away, I need to make space so that they don't hit me, but you almost have to do the opposite, because if you're in their face, it's super easy to punish the more special, because it's very, very slow. So you actually don't want to play at the distance, in my opinion. You also want to keep close, and you can see he's kind of adapting in that way. He is actually closing the distance now and trying to punish those specials, take away that option. And Pikachu's paw is one hit from death, and he's still not going down without a fight.
That big
he can finish him.
If this person has a fucking mallet they can pull out.
Oh, that's a good point. He does. I don't know. This is another one of those things where being a throwable, it doesn't actually come out automatically.
But Pikachu had the time to do it.
He did. Perhaps just not quite. Remembering to do so.
Well, I
sort of in the heat of the moment.
honestly, personally, I really want to see Maulman.
Oh, and another sucker punch of a special.
Another one.
Wow. This is yes, this is turning out to be quite an unexpected fight. So I'm quite intrigued to see what happens here.
Yeah, will Pikachu become the #1 in the qualifier?
Oh, he's doing it again.
Using the set, and he
Using
won't stop.
well, he's got a massive hit on Mazzo, taking probably over half his health, but a good slash drag. And Mazzo's still trying to make space, and again Pikachu and another slash drag. I think he missed with the stab and got whiff punished with that slash.
This is the most beautiful thing I've seen so far in this tournament.
I think unorthodox and 4-2 up, and he's one win away from taking this in 5-2. So Mazzo's going to have to adapt to what has to be one of the most unorthodox playstyles we've ever seen in a Trial by Blood. Otherwise, he's going to get knocked out in round 1, which is definitely not what he wanted to happen. A nice fiend to stab there. He's going for another special. Oh, he clips it right on his ankles. Jabs him before the interrupt can come back, and he does disarm Pikachu's paw, and he finishes him off with an overhead. Yeah, so there's the problem, though. If you only hit specials, eventually you are going to stam yourself out. They are very stamina efficient. Great Sword Eater says that players hate this one simple trick. I think that's a very succinct way of describing it. You can see Warbeast on the other side.
Imagine looking forward to the third qualifier and believing that you were going to make it past round 1, but then some asshole shows up with the maul and only the specials.
It's got to be somewhat frustrating at the very least. I feel like Mazzo probably would have thought this guy, he's not as big a name on the dueling scene, but again disarmed, and at least Mazzo, I think, playing it super safe. I mean, he's one hit from. He's one death from being knocked out, and I think just feels he cannot afford to lose it. But for all now, match point, it is sudden death, so this could still go either way. Again, maybe Pikachu's paw is just banking on that one final maul hit, and going for it so quickly, his opponent nowhere near, and that was a very good example of spacing there, crouching back away and then doing the stab. Oh, missing that by a hair. Oh, and he loses his weapon. I think trying to bait the spacing, but just maybe not quite judging it correctly. And he gets it with another good spacing. Maybe just beating his opponent with the initiative on the more slow slash drag, and he gets it 5-4. Definitely much closer than he would have wanted, but a very entertaining fight all the same. So well played to Pikachu's paw for showing us, you don't have to go by the rules to do well in this game. All right, we're catching the tail end of the Warbeast match. I think for those of us who are familiar with the EU duel scene will know just how much of a beast Warbeast is. One of the most experienced duelists in all of Chivalry 2. I understand he may have potentially the most, in terms of pure dueling hours, the most of anyone in EU at least. I've been told he has something like 2,000 and a kick to finish. That was brutal. I've been told he has something like 2,000 hours in.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, he's super experienced. I think he's something like rank 700 plus, pretty much all from dueling. So I'm just keeping an eye now because I think Bull's Lord will be up against MK soon potentially.
Like Warbeast has the lead, and I do have to say he only has 52 ping
look
today.
out for this.
Only 52 ping.
I think a tackle is coming in, and it is, and he knocks him down. The disrespect and a classic Warbeast move, and he's going for it again. Oh no! And this is a move that we may see going for it, but didn't quite get the distance to charge it up, so to speak. Oh, and Warbeast loses his arm, perhaps getting a little zealous, but oh no, he kicks him and disarm and knocks his guard and finishes him up with one arm. And that is classic Warbeast as we love to see it, and probably a sign of things to come.
And then he got executed.
Signature weapon of the Footman, so this should be more like it. Right, what to say about MK? He's an interesting player for a couple of reasons. I mean, well, that's a sign of things to come as to the sort of ruthless nature of his playstyle. I'm somewhat convinced that he is a supercomputer plugged into a keyboard. He's so clinical, he's so technical. He will you know, he'll do everything. He's got crazy spins when he needs them, amazing accels, you know, crisp drags, and he has a very dangerous jab game. He really is the full package. So I do suspect he could go very far if he plays up to his potential. An interesting thing about him is that I believe he actually plays a lot in the NA servers. I think he actually is a member of an NA clan and goes by Pax Flammer. So he has a lot of experience playing against very good players in NA and is familiar with them. So he has a lot of experience, not just dealing with players in EU, but some of the very strong players in NA as well. So he's not afraid to sort of broaden his horizons to improve the game as much as he can.
Oh, he tried to dodge, but he got caught up with that
huge slash drag. Yeah, that was an unfortunate miscalculation there. Those slash drags on the heavy mace, especially on the footman, do an absolutely massive amount of damage. The heavy mace is a signature move of MK. It's the one we see him use the most, but don't be surprised against certain matchups if we see him pull out the Warhammer. That's one I've seen him experimenting with a lot recently. So especially with his affinity to jabs, it's probably going to be quite well suited for him. So we can see probably those two weapons predominantly from him.
Yes, and Apotheker just switched his loadout, but these swings are so fast. Apotheker isn't really.
Look at that spin, 360. Oh, reversal into, and that's what I'm talking about. And he disarms him with a jab and finishes him. That was ruthless, I think is the way to describe it best. And you can see there just.
I wouldn't say ruthless. It's more like the premise for some serial killer movie, to be honest.
It was, yeah, that was almost a dispatch. Say his opponent, I'm sure is a very fine player, but MK is at a tier of ability which, frankly, I can't hang with whenever I fight him. So his opponent again will have to adapt fast if he wants to get a kill. And
well,
there's
he
an
switched to
example.
one-hander to get some speed, but will it work?
Well, you can see now, just sort of adapting to the speed, perhaps, he's chaining those feint to jabs to sort of play on his terms in terms of tempo. And another feint to jab, and another one. He's just almost spamming them at him, and his opponent just can't deal with it. And you see how the number of times he was jabbed out of his attempt at a counter just meant he had no stamina left, and eventually gets disarmed once again. That's a strategy we've seen quite frequently. Duma used it to great effect in the last qualifier.
Well, to be fair, what I can see is McKay is reading his opponent like a book.
Yeah. I think his opponent doesn't even have time to implement any game plan he might have. Going for the special, though, clever, you know, it's a good way to mix it up. And, of course, the special with the one hand is very fast, so not necessarily that easy to react to. But, once again, out of stam and just unable to sort of counter the moves, you know, the mix of spins and cancels, drags, and accels. He just almost isn't able to get those counters off, forced to riposte everything, and gets stammed out quickly. And that's a 5-0 win for MK. It's a sign of things to come, I think. Absolutely
well, at least we can be certain that with MK, we're going to get through the rounds quite quickly. Oh, and, it's happening. It's happening. Meme versus Field Medic. And Field Medic is using them all.
Maybe he saw Pikachu's paw and got inspired. Who knows? Meme using the Executioner's Axe, which I know is a favorite of his. He uses it all the time in the dual yards. And maybe getting a tip from long drags with a slash drag like that. That was an amazing drag and already taking half of his opponent's health. Quite on the front foot there. So let's see if Field Medic can grab some initiative back and maybe, you know, play a bit more on his terms. And now they get into more of a traditional counter rally.
And he overdragged and got punished for it.
Yeah, very slight overdrag. That was quite unlucky there. It was the right idea, but say maybe just strafing to the side from his opponent, just sort of maybe moved him out of position. Trying to find. There we are. You can expect. I think Meme plays with long drags quite frequently, so I think he's taken some of the long drags influence with that Executioner's Axe. He's not afraid of jabs. He's not afraid of heavy feints. His opponent will perhaps have a slightly more unorthodox approach, but then again, he's using an unorthodox weapon himself, so this could be a real good showcase of drags. And already we can see both of them going for some heavy slash drags. Went for the kick, but Meme attacked into it and got punished. But he gets disarmed with that huge amount of more stam. Gets disarmed again because he can't get the counter, and now he's got no weapons left. Oh, that was. He needs to be careful because I believe the rule is they have to stay in the bounds of their ring. So Meme needs to ensure that he stays in because he may actually get penalized if he does that again. Hard to blame him though. He had no weapons and was staring a massive hammer that was about to take off his head. So maybe he just self-preservation took precedent there.
Yeah, it's definitely a foul on Meme's behalf.
Yeah.
Just because you're getting murdered doesn't mean you can jump off to the other dueling yard.
Absolutely not.
Distance.
No. Dying is one thing, but breaking the rules in a dueling tournament, well, that's another entirely. The
question is, the only question is, will Meme be able to outdrag Field Medic before he runs out of stamina? That's the entire issue.
There's a risk there. Yeah, there is something he's going to have to bear in mind, because if he wants to do heavy attacks against his opponent with a maul, he needs to counter a lot, because heavy feints cost a lot of stamina and a maul will drain even more. If he just, and there's an example of it there, you know, if you want to go for those high stand plays, he needs to be very, very conservative. He needs to be very good at regenerating his standby counters, and not quite able to do it there. If we talk about sort of how different... Okay, so different weapons do different amounts of stamina damage, and depending what you're fighting will dictate how much you need to counter to keep your stam maintained. And at the one end of the spectrum, you've got the one-handed weapons, you know, something like the rapier, the one-handed sword, the short sword. They do very little stamina damage. You can riposte a lot of things. But at the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the big, heavy, slow weapons, and the maul is the highest stam-draining weapon in the game. So you have to counter a lot of attacks, and that's kind of where the danger of fighting a maul lies, you know, being forced to counter more and therefore putting potential cracks in your guard as a result, and being susceptible to those huge drags that
he switched to the one-handed immediately.
Interesting strategy. I wonder if he feels like he can maybe get some gambles in. I know Meme isn't above doing the odd gamble or two every now and then, and of course the maul is very slow, so a bit susceptible to gambles, especially with the one-hander.
Yeah, and he's keeping his distance. Is he afraid of this maul? Oh, he could just keep fucking jabbing.
He is. I see he's actually...
He almost went out of bounds again!
He almost went out of bounds again, so... yeah, again, he needs to be careful, but he did hop back in, to be fair. But I think he's trying to keep the distance from the maul. Again, it's one strategy, because the maul is quite short, but at the same time, because of the maul speed, sometimes it's almost better to put pressure on them by keeping close and staying in their face, and dictating the pace of the match. Some good drags by both of them. Oh, I think he caught him. Yeah, he caught him with that nice slash drag once again. 2-2. Nice competitive matches we have so far, I think. Okay, so I hope Meme doesn't mind me saying this, and if he does, too bad. I gather they had these two players had never played each other before last night, and actually did a practice first to 10 between themselves last night, as maybe a sort of pre-event hype match for the two of them. So they should have some familiarity with their playstyles. Maybe establishing a bit of a rivalry before the tournament starts, which we love to see. And Meme throwing his weapon clean out of the arena, clearly deciding he'll never use it. He better hope he doesn't get disarmed, because otherwise he'll have nothing left.
Nah, he went for it. He went for it.
He didn't even need the X-Axe to do a nice drag. He can do it with the falchion quite easily. Yeah, that was doing a long drag special there, shaking his camera as he battle cries. Very exuberant.
Yeah, he was very ballsy, but that means that he still only has a falchion, and
yes,
Field Medic adapts to that.
Yeah, I say it's a very all or nothing play, you know, throwing away your only other weapon. Oh, that was a bit closer.
He's just playing with Field Medic right now.
He is a little bit. I think he's trying to do some mind games. I mean, the fight is not okay, and an interesting slash drag, and then a few jabs. He needs to be careful, Meme. So maybe trying to get into his opponent's head, but he is rather low on health, so he can't afford to give away too many jabs and kicks while he's busy taunting his opponent, and then trying to space his opponent, but not quite judging the more stab there, and yeah.
Well, to be fair, I do love that Meme is having a bit of fun doing this trial by blood.
Yes. Who is Jelly fighting now? Could you just advise me?
Let me quickly take a look. Jelly is fighting Gingy.
Okay. We're getting a lot of requests in chat to have a look at the Jelly Gingy match. we'll have a look at this one and see how this fight goes, and then maybe at the end we can catch. Gingy will be very likely to appear further in the draw, so I'm just conscious of sort of switching matches midway before they finish, because I think some of the viewers would like to see how this ends. Meme needs to be careful about... Okay, and going for the suicide dance off of the ledge. One of the more unorthodox bugs in this game, I can't say I've ever seen it used in a competition ever, partly because it's an instant suicide. So, yeah. Clearly trying to bamboozle his opponent, maybe. I'm not entirely sure...
Well, to be fair, you said that Gingy would be appearing later in the match, but Jelly seems to be having the lead.
Yes, perhaps I've underestimated Jelly. It is looking actually quite close. Gingy actually one of the probably favorites to qualify in this bracket, so maybe we'll just take a quick look. Take a look in a minute and just see how that one ends, because yeah, that one could be an upset on the cards potentially. Pablo says you would love to see the fight. Okay, you know what? I think we have enough. We'll catch the end of this one. Sorry, viewers. We're trying to see everything that we can and try and be consistent in our viewings, but obviously we can't see everything at once. We'll see some of this fight and see how it goes, and then we can adhere to the viewers' wishes. Gingy using the pickaxe. This is a signature move of Gingy. Loves the pickaxe. A very slept-on weapon, especially with his playstyle. Gingy, I call him the professional gambler. He is very good at the and that's what I'm talking about. So doing the gamble, almost beating his opponent's riposte with the speed of the Axel slash, and Gingy pulling away with the 5-2 win there. So
it was 5-2. Gingy.
It was 5-2.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It was close at first, but I think Gingy perhaps switching to that pickaxe, because he often does that when he's down a fight and giving his opponent a different mix-up, and often making a good comeback with that weapon. I've been on the tail end of that enough. Okay, so if we return to this fight, and oh wow, that was a quick finish. One big drag, one big Axel, and 4-all. So. This is sudden death, and I don't know if Meme is regretting doing that suicide tech off the ledge right now, but he needs to win this fight, otherwise he's out of his chances to qualify. Field Medic asking if he threw that one. I don't know if that's a taunt or a genuine question, but now is the time to be serious if he wants to win. So maybe now we'll see them put everything they can. Oh, throwing the X-Axe, punishing the whiff on the special. Ooh, try and... One of the least orthodox fights we've seen in the qualifier so far. A stab with the maul, not a common attack, and finishes him with a kick, and that's 5-4. Very close fight, very unorthodox, but Field Medic gets the win there, so well done to him. That was really well played. Again, another use of an unorthodox weapon, showing dividends in this qualifier. Okay, looks like we have Hefner against Lydia, another KRT, another KRT member. I see, Jizuza.
Yes, Lydia is the only French person in KRT, and probably the last person that's from France that we will accept.
Okay, fair enough. I won't ask why, but. I believe Lydia was actually originally an OVA, which is the sort of predominant French clan in EU. So she did make that switch to KRT somewhat recently.
Yeah, a couple of months ago.
Okay.
I think maybe 2-3 months.
Okay, so she's had some time to settle in. I hope you've made her feel welcome.
Oh, definitely. We are very welcoming of any person that joins our clan. We're quite desperate for members, really.
Well, there you have it. If you're interested in joining KRT, you've heard it from one of the lead members himself. They are open for recruiting. And speaking of clans, we've got KWA Hefner. Oh, that was a nice use of spins there. Sort of working his way into his opponent's guard. Hefner, I believe, has joined KWA quite recently as well, so here's another new recruit. But fairly experienced in the game and a very good duelist.
I'm quite certain that Hefner was in KRT earlier, but it seems that he switched sides quite recently.
Yeah, seems like we have many changes of allegiances recently in the EU duel scene, which is good to see. You know, you'll find that some people stick with their clans and will stick with them as long as they can. Some people like to mix it up and occasionally move to other clans and maybe get a different experience. So, you know, most clans are very welcoming of all players, no matter what they're looking for. So, oh, the disarm, letting his opponent take the weapon. A good display of sportsmanship there. Maybe feeling quite confident that he's 4-0 up, so he can afford to. Oh, and a nice overhead around the side. I think he sort of went around the right side of Lydia's guard and taking the 5-0 win. That was a very good display by Hefner. I know he was training very hard yesterday, so taking this bracket very seriously. He might put up some very good fights even against the best players. So well played to him. Ooh, this is interesting. This I did not expect, I must confess. It appears, in what might have been an upset, Olifantia has beaten Ballslord.
Really?
Are you able to confirm? Because I believe that Olifantia was facing Ballslord in round 1. And the winner was to face MK, and a good win by MK there.
Ballslord got disqualified.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what he did. Maybe he ate a goat. I don't know. But apparently he either he didn't show up, did something nefarious. We don't know. We'll find out after the entire tournament is done.
Yes, perhaps. I'm sure it'll come to light what happened. Perhaps he just couldn't make it. It does show you DQ'd if you don't appear on time or even no-show. So that may have just been what happened. Nothing particularly controversial there. It just happens sometimes for technical reasons or other reasons in schedule conflicts and things. Shame to see if he didn't turn up, but nevertheless, we've got two very good players facing off.
Let's just keep this disqualification that we have right here with Ballslord. Let's make it as controversial as possible. Let's get some drama in here. We don't know what happened. Maybe he got kidnapped. We don't know.
Yeah, I hope he hasn't. I hope he's well. He was training last night, so I think he had every intention of showing up. But if we can deal with that later. For now, we need to see this match again. MK and what appears to be a bit of a mirror match, both in terms of weapon and look, because both rocking the same tournament Agathian champion tournament armor, and using the heavy mace, same heavy mace skin as well. So a big shout out to Mr. Olifanti, who actually goes by the stream name Cacao, and again MK with the stabbing his opponent out like he does so well against his opponents. They just can't seem to deal with the oppressive mix of jabs and axels, and again getting a good disarm to finish him off. Olifantia actually goes by the Twitch name Cacao, and he was helping to co-stream some of the off-stream matches in the last qualifier. So shout out to him, deciding that after having a crack at streaming, he wants to get into the mix and take part. So well done to him. I must say, though, he has his work cut out for him because he's up against an extremely strong player in SAC MK. So we'll see if he can put up a good fight. But MK is going to be a very big challenge. See those nice light spins by MK, and you see as well he looks slightly down at the floor as he does those. That's quite common from him. The heavy mace has an interesting quirk with the arc of the swing, where if you look at the floor, it almost swings over the back of your opposite shoulder, almost like a golf swing, and it actually means that you can go further. The range of the swing with a light drag or a heavy drag will go further than you'd expect. It's also very good for spins because it means that the weapon almost whips around at very fast speed. Again, using that mix of attack cancels and jabs to punish those attempts at countering after taking a hit by Olifantia, and stabbing him out by making him whiff with his not landing his counter attacks, and a good counter rally here, and then a feint to jab to finish, and you say just sort of clinical, not even taking any damage. He's in the scintillating form today. Absolutely disgusting feint to jab spam. Yeah, it's definitely the meta this time. We've seen it so frequently in the matches in the last two qualifiers. Again, I think since the buff to jabs, where they're a lot easier to land now, and just sort of players maybe changing up what the meta tactics are since the last trial by blood, it's been super common to see those feint to jabs, attack cancels to jabs, just a way of breaking that pattern of counter rallies, which was very much commonplace earlier in the life of the game. That was a huge axel. So quick that I think maybe he just his opponent could get his guard up in time almost. Another feint to jab, mixing up the rhythm, and there he does, almost getting him trapped in that sort of cycle of jabs where his opponent just sort of can't seem to break free, and at the same time getting his stam drained all the same. And again, MK just wearing his opponent down. Nice light spin there, but Olifantia read it very well. Olifantia has very good defense, very solid player, very good grasp of the fundamentals, but MK doing a very good job of just completely throwing him out of his comfort zone, and that's 4-0.
Yeah, what do you do against this guy?
That's a good question. If there's an answer, I haven't found it. I can tell you that much. Like I said, I'm convinced that he's a supercomputer who's got Shiv 2 installed. The guy is just unfaltering in his defense and his attack. Can Kakao get at least one win? Stand the counter rally, and again keep an eye. Yep, and there it is already. But Kakao actually being quite, adapting to last time and realizing. And that was, oh, I'm sorry, but that was disgusting. Was that a 360 feet to kick? I mean, we're used to just, 360s with the regular swings, but actually using a kick, trying to hide it, not quite working, but absolutely balletic move there. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And an attack cancelled 360 to jab, and really putting all his techs on display, and that was as flashy a win as I've ever seen in a Trial by Blood match.
Absolutely disgusting, but in a beautiful way.
Yeah, disgusting in a beautiful way. I think we can quote that one. That is a pretty good way of defining MK when he uses some of those moves. Oh my word. And let's just move over because we have another match starting, and Warbeast coming right out the gate, unequipping all his weapons, and T-Bok has been warned about this, going for the barefisted tackles, now pulling out his weapon, so deciding that he's had enough fun and maybe he'll try and win this one. Warbeast is very experienced and not above the odd level of antics and shenanigans, even in serious duels. Anyone who saw his playoff match against Wandy in the last Trial by Blood will remember that. Oh, unlucky, just beating out the Danax throw and getting that overhead. And now Warbeast going for another barefisted tackle and finishing him with a jab. Oh my word. I must say, like, one, I'm very happy that we have such good players playing, but secondly, that they're not afraid to come out and show their full array of flashy
unique skills.
Yes, they're not just here, and Warbeast wins 5-1, so well played to him.
Well, the trick with fighting Warbeast is when he starts running and going for a tackle, you should also start running and going for a tackle.
Yes, and again, those who have seen Wandy and Warbeast fights, especially in comp, will know that often Wandy will match him with the tackle, and they'll tackle each other, and whoever gets priority will knock the opponent over. Yeah, it can lead to some quite entertaining fights. So Warbeast winning 2 rounds, finishing with some of his signature tackles. We'll see if he keeps it up against some of the favorites in this bracket.
By the way, in the background, I have to say that Zach Mazo can't catch a fucking break. He's now fighting someone with guitar.
Aha! Okay, all right. Thank you for pointing that out. We need to go have a look. And another example of unorthodox gameplay here. Let me just try and.
MJ won.
MJ won with guitars. Oh my word. Okay, well, that's what I'd call, I'd definitely call that one an upset, and definitely one of the most unusual wins we've seen. I'm not sure we've ever seen Katars in a Trial by Blood. Those of us who are on hand helping, we're doing this out of sort of our passion for the game and for the community, and we're doing this on a voluntary basis. So, we want to see the community thrive, and we're willing to put in our time to do so. So, thank you everyone for showing us support in the chat and by taking part in these tournaments. It does mean a lot to us. It makes everything worthwhile.
Yeah, when's the next tournament gonna start? Like, the next duel?
I believe it's starting now, and I'm just having a look at Sigaron versus Couscous Raisins. Delicious. Volley did do the Volley did start them, so I believe this is actually a fight. We'll keep an eye on this one for now, but we do want to keep an eye on the other brackets because there are some very big draws coming up in the quarterfinals. So. If we just have a look, I believe if Jesusa could kind of remind me what big matches we can expect to see in the quarters.
Well, they're currently updating it, so I'm still waiting. But we're gonna see Gingy against Warbeast.
Oh, that
has been confirmed.
Yes, we need to see that one. Absolutely.
Then MJ versus McKay.
Oh, and again, I think after MJ's somewhat jaw-dropping performance last time, which sadly we couldn't catch. We need to watch his match there, absolutely.
And Supreme passed his console match against Darkseid, and we're currently waiting for Woody and Royals Herald to finish their match before they can come to the PC server.
And the winner of that match will face up against Supreme if he won his round. So that's another match I think we need to see as much of as we can. Two very, very good players. Two of the best players in their respective clans and two of the best players in the game. And I think it'd be a very good match. Oh, and the special finish. Very, very good. His opponent completely caught off guard. Didn't even block it. Maybe didn't even see it coming. And hit for 90 damage and 2-0 to Couscous Raisins. Very good.
Yeah, who is this Couscous Raisins? I've never seen this person before.
I must confess, I have no idea. I'm not sure I've even seen them in the Juilliard. So whether or not they are a player that maybe we've not noticed as much as we frankly should have, or they're playing under a pseudonym.
Well, apparently Couscous Raisins is from OVA, and I haven't seen OVA around for quite some time.
I see. Well, maybe...
in the Juilliard, at least. Maybe they have their own secret French Juilliard. I don't know.
Maybe. But you're right. We haven't seen them much in the Juilliard, but I'm sure they are training because they are very good players. Using a classic sort of OVA. OVA are very good with their messes. You'll see a lot of their best players using a lot of spins. Sort of very fluent, very visually appealing gameplay. And already getting some good hits in. So Sigaron is a regular in the Juilliard, and he has again one of the more unorthodox playstyles. He loves his jabs and crouches. He often uses them over dodges to evade attacks to great effect, but stabbing himself out there, perhaps being a bit excessive with those jumps and not able to get enough counters in, and Couscous finishing him. Sigaron will frequently use crouches and jumps to get around his opponent, and then sneak in the odd longsword slash gamble. So it can be a very effective tactic, but Couscous adapting well to the unusual playstyle right there. Someone's saying do it for France, Legatus. It's good to see some support for OVA in the chat.
Well, to be fair, we have plenty of French people representing France tonight.
Oh, missed the punish though with the stab. I think maybe he might have crouched back with the stab to maybe bait the whiff if the stab wasn't actually if the kick wasn't successful. Sorry, but missing the stab as a result. Nice attempt at a spin, just out of range, but good spacing with the stab, and then a good combination of attacks and kind of catching his opponent off balance there and finishing him off with a clinical combination. Sigaron,
he needs drugs for this.
Yes, and as Dobie says, to quote him, based. Just to clarify that Tournament Grounds does not condone the use of performance-enhancing drugs when competing in Trial by Blood.
Yes, however, outside of Trial by Blood, the amount of people that use weed is staggeringly high. Jesus Christ.
Once again, no comment.
Sigaron going for a classic Italian fighting style by crouching and stabbing.
Crouching and then jumping and stabbing. It's quite a unique playstyle that I think anyone who duels a lot will be familiar with. A nice slash drag and then almost looked like a jab skip. I don't know if his opponent actually... went for a jab and just the speed of the follow through was so fast. Oh, and MJ back with the katars against Field Medic with the maul. I must say.
Oh no, that's Gingy.
Oh, it is Gingy. My bad. It's Gingy. The high level katar skin right there. Gingy is very good at fast weapons and is probably one of the few players. Sort of very high-level players in the game who frequently uses katars, and he'll often use them as sort of an anti-meta pick if he knows that his opponent isn't very good at dealing with them because they're not experienced with them. As we can see, they're very effective, especially on something like the maul where it's quite slow, and you can, opponent disappeared there for a moment, but he's back. Jinji has to be very, very careful, though, when using the katars against them all, because, oh, nice special, the one attack, orthodox attack that can actually stun besides the headbutt. Oh, and then missed the initial stab, but then does a follow-up, and such is the speed of the weapon, he can get 2 hits in before his opponent can hit back, even with a knife. Jinji does have to be very careful, though, because as slow as the Maul is, it has massive stam drain, and on top of that, the katars have a penalty where they have more stam drain for every attack that's blocked. So if Jinji isn't careful to keep his counters and make sure his stam is maintained, he will run out of stam to use the headbutts and the specials, which are the also the bread and butter offensive moves of the katars, especially that special attack. And a nice tech we saw there, Mr. Special. That's a very common one we see where he will counter the attack, miss the attack, and then go straight into a special, and his opponent is almost caught in that stun from the counter animation. And can't even react to the special in time. Very effective tactic for the katars. Throwing the katars at his opponent, deciding he wants to finish it with a one-hander, going for the kick, and that was very, very clever. Seeing his opponent was low on health and just sort of going for the easy chip damage.
Whoever's commentating the stream, Katar headbutts is stam neutral. Ah.
Interesting. I did not know that. I must admit, I've tried katars a little bit, but I'm definitely not a specialist. The headbutt on the katars is unique in that it's not a regular jab. Obviously, both hands are taken with the weapon, so you actually jab with a headbutt. Orthodox opinion and a nice follow-up from a counter hit into a special. Again, his opponent, the weapon is just so much quicker than them all. And both of them losing their bearings a little bit there, I must say. Jinji, I happen to know, is a first-person connoisseur, as they say, so maybe a little bit harder for him to keep track of his opponent when he's moving a lot. Okay, his opponent going for the throw. Oh, and the throw with the katars, I think. And yes, that was he must have been very sure his opponent was low on health, because the katars have, I think, the lowest throw damage of any weapon in the game. Their throw damage is so low that sometimes if you throw them at a downed opponent in team objective, it won't even kill them. I think they do something like 18 throw damage, so he clearly knew what he was doing to go for that. Oh, going for the more special. Actually, not a bad idea. Oh, and a good read by Jinji, realizing his opponent would panic parry after missing the attack and then going straight for the kick. Oh, and stab in the back. The backstab, and of course, Jinji using that 50% bonus damage from the backstabs with the ambusher class for a huge amount of backstab damage, and that'll be 5-0. Very good example of katars there. Really well played. And maybe people are starting to look and think, oh, well, I thought katars were bad, because they weren't, they weren't effective when I tried them. But maybe people have another look at them after this tournament and see actually they do have their use. I believe here we have another very good player we haven't seen yet, Qualifier against Devil, who we saw earlier in the draw. Volley, one of the best duelists in the KWA clan, and I know that he's also been training very hard. So using the Danax move.
And Devil is on the losing end of this fight.
At the moment, yes. No stam and now no health. That was a very, very good use of aggressive Danax play by Volley. Using his movement very well, you could see he almost was kind of weaving around his opponent, trying to get around that guard. And unfortunately, we only caught the tail end of that one too. Just too many good matches happening at the same time. We're trying to move between them as fast as we can, but with such a packed draw. And I think this is one that I think we've been very much waiting for. Good win by Volley, 5-0. So well played.
And we're also waiting for Bulbasaur's giant announcement he's going to make right now.
Hello, Bubble.
Where's the money going to, by the way?
I was literally going to say the money.
Yeah, where's the money?
Where's the money going to? The money goes straight to the players. Do not pass go. But yeah, Supreme and 1D is coming up.
We're watching it right now. Yes, thank you for letting us know. We're just catching the start, and I think our viewers would be in uproar if we missed this one, so it's a good thing that we just caught it. Thank you for letting us know, though, Bubble. I think you're as excited about this one as we are.
Definitely. That's why he left. That's how excited he was.
Yeah, he couldn't wait. He just had to watch. We'll move to watching the players individually. We just wanted to catch this as quickly as we could. But hopefully we get a good view of this first round. 1D, okay, so this is interesting. I took the liberty of spectating some of our competitors last night in the duel yard, all of them training very, very hard. And 1D was using a poleaxe. So he clearly was getting ready to use this weapon in the tournament. We've seen this one a couple of times already, even in earlier rounds, notably by Punk, who qualified for the finals. The poleaxe is like the heavy mace. in the sense that it has a bonus. Oh, what a good finish! Just sort of using that that buff where you have less stam drain on block to just wear down his opponent. And now we can see exactly why Wandy is such a fearsome force. This guy has some of the best defense you'll ever see. Unbelievable guard. He almost makes you beat yourself. And I think it's very apt that his title in-game is The Wall, because that is probably the best way to describe him, the way he plays. Good drag, though, by Supreme. Couldn't quite counter that one. So, for those of you who are familiar with Wandy's playstyle, I want to make a couple of observations. So, we know that Wandy has a very good defense, and another good finish by Wandy again, like managed to get a few hits, but just not able to chain enough damage before Wandy just sort of exposes the weaknesses in your own defense. People often think of Wandy as, I suppose the term in Shiv is a counterbot. You know, he will just counter everything until you lose. And that's a bit of a misconception. Wandy tends to counter a lot, but he'll only counter things that are safe. He'll counter heavies, he'll counter obvious non-feints, he'll counter feints, and he'll counter drags. But often if someone accels riposte against him, he will, if he has the stamina to do so, just riposte it. So he often tries to counter as late as he can, and that avoids letting him get caught out by things like feints and heavies and spins. So it's that net effect where, you know, between the fact he's got a good stab advantage with his loadout and the fact that he only goes for safe counters, it's just very hard to catch him out with his defense. And you can see there already his opponent just sort of getting, making a couple of slip-ups before Wandy makes any. And a good clinical kick punish there by Wandy.
Yeah, and he remains a bit unpredictable in what he's going to do next.
Yes, yes, and he has got that good grasp, very good defense, the foundation, I think, of his gameplay, and then he's got a few ways to throw his opponent off balance. He's good at movement. He'll often, you see, walk around his opponent while going for those slashes, almost getting around the back of them, and often will use jabs. He's very good at the jab game. He'll often use a feint to jab when he feels the fight's been going on for a while, or his opponent's being forced to early counter because their stamina's low. Will mix in those feint to jabs, often chain them together, just to stand them out even more. His opponent going for a similar weapon with the stand buff, the heavy mace here, another weapon that's really popular in this series of qualifiers. Maybe just feeling he needs to match the stand game, getting disarmed a bit too much, and now we're getting to the counter rally that both these players are so good at. Good spin there, but nice Wandy catching it with the counter, yeah. Using a jab to mix up the rhythm a bit. Both these players have very good cards.
They're both playing it very safe.
They are playing it safe. I think, like, for both of them, especially Wandy, it's very much their sort of modus operandi to wear the opponent down, you know. Not take too many risks, and just sort of rely on the fact that they have better fundamentals to for the opponent to make a mistake first, almost. Or to sort of slowly grind them down. And we've seen it already where some very, very good players... Oh, an interesting bit of, I think, appears to be lag. Desync.
Maybe Gabe Newell dropped a Snickers bar on the server. We don't know.
We have some good stuff on hand, and of course Tom Banner are watching this as well. So, and we have another case of lag. Okay, looks like they're going to try another reset. See what happens this time. And perhaps if there's a sudden... conveniently timed lag spike, maybe we can consider that there's a bad actor in this, but fingers crossed. Fourth time's a charm?
Well, this puts some extra pressure on the duelist, because they have to kill each other as soon as possible before the next lag spike shows up.
Exactly.
I think they've actually... Woody will have to get out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, so perhaps Wandy maybe will sense a bit more urgency, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like he's sticking to his bread and butter, getting some good hits in, one good overhead and one good slash, and his opponent's already pretty much a hit from death, and disarming his opponent again, but he gets his weapon out in time, so it's not over yet. Another feint to jab, realizing that his opponent's low on stam, and it's a good way to bait those early counters, or punish them, I should say, and another good finish. Wandy is just imperious, I think, as we expected. He was in very good form yesterday, and clearly carrying it over.
And I've been calling Wandy Woody for 2 years now.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm. It is 1D. It's not Woody. Just to clarify.
Yeah. Can you ask him to change his name to Woody?
I'll let you ask him. How about that?
Well,
if we interview him later on, you can posit it to him. Oh, two overheads there, and I think his opponent just getting caught off there, not quite blocking those. Maybe getting behind his back a little bit. Another counter rally, and Wandy's just so hard to get a hit in. I think I can count on one hand the number of hits he's taken, and another slash. His opponent just not getting his guard up in time. And that's 5-0 to Wandy. Just as a reminder, this is the third qualifier of the second EU Trial by Blood, and we're about to enter the quarterfinals. I am your host and caster, KWA Sushi, and with me is Jizuzo, also known as KRT Lancelot. Who kindly remind us who is competing in these quarterfinals?
You mean these awesome quarterfinals? Because this is going to be amazing.
They are going to be good, yeah.
We have Couscous Raisins versus Volley.
Nice.
We have Hefner versus Woody. We have MK versus MJM.
Interesting.
And then we have BK and Warbeast versus Gingy.
Oh, okay.
Volley and Couscous Raisins are getting ready for combat, and Couscous Raisins has a different weapon this time.
We see a pole hammer. Okay, so I don't think we've seen one of these yet. I believe that we did see it briefly in the previous Trial by Blood. I believe that it might have been used by the eventual runner-up in BKM Luke Dane, who we'll be seeing in the final by way of a wildcard. Very good weapon. Amazing special, great range, and good stam drain as well, being a blunt weapon, but Volley with clinical, extremely aggressive playstyle there, just sort of, again, overwhelming his opponent, not retreating at all. The Daneaxe, such an oppressive weapon. It may be short, but if you can get in your opponent's face, you can almost overwhelm them with its speed, and able to get round the guard with some what look like quite nasty side hits as well. Volley,
yes, and the most amazing thing about the Daneaxe is you can kill your opponent before he finishes his emote taunts.
Yes, so maybe he feels he's not out of it yet. We're only one fight in. It's an interesting choice, the polehammer, because obviously it's got a lot of good traits. However, Volley going for the Daneaxe, and one, he's got a chop weapon, which is extremely effective against footmen. But secondly, a nice side stab though by.
He fucking stabbed him in the foot.
Yeah, that was two very nice ankle stabs, one around the side and one almost under his guard. And you see him going for it again, maybe realizing that Volley's not quite catching those correctly, using the crouch to deceive it even more. But Volley getting a good went for the jab after the disarm. Oh, nearly got the throw. Maybe if he'd gone for the follow-up, might have got the kill, but both of them quite low now, so this could be quite a good fight. Both getting their original weapons. Oh, and Couscous getting the kill. Volley maybe would have wished that he'd actually gone for the attack after the game, the disarm, but a good comeback by Couscous Raisins. The Daneaxe has chop damage on the footman, which means you'll kill him in 3 hits effectively, or maybe even 2 with 2 heavy overheads. But also he's playing as a vanguard, which means he doesn't. The polehammer user won't get any blunt damage advantage. So an interesting choice to say the least. Maybe he just feels like it's a particularly good matchup for Volley's playstyle, or maybe it's just his preferred weapon in big matches.
At the end of the day, damage is damage.
Exactly. I mean, if you hit the opponent and they can't hit you, then you're going to win. So the better player will normally win in that respect. A good kick, but not quite reacting to it in time, and Volley able to dodge out of it. Good Axel. Nice combination. The Axel into almost like a gamble, and Volley going for a slash feint, not quite hitting it. A couple of slash feints there. Nice counter rally. This is a bit more standard in terms of gameplay. Going for another side stab. Volley getting a better read on it this time. He went to gamble the jab, but Volley maybe read it, or just the speed of the Daneaxe, and he manages to beat out the... again. Yeah, he's going for, I think, Volley reading them. Oh, but getting caught out by that one, though. This is getting quite intense. And, interesting. He, once again, gets the disarm, but doesn't quite get the finish. Can his opponent get another comeback?
Couscous is in jab kill range,
and so is his opponent, and that's and a very good job by Volley not to get hit again, because he was also, you could see his opponent constantly going for those feinted jabs, trying to get that one last hit on Volley, but Volley doing a very good job of keeping his composure and getting the eventual kill with the disarm. So Volley's been quite clever here, because even though he's using the Daneaxe against the footman, he's keeping a Messer in backup, and as most people know, the Raider class of the Vanguard gets 2 primaries, which means it's very good at picking loadouts which can counter many different classes. So maybe he just thinks he wants a Messer in backup in case, and another disarm followed by a jab. And interestingly enough, actually not even trying to punish it, maybe hoping his opponent will pick up the weapon. A good slash there, and his opponent very low. Going for the special, tried to avoid it, but didn't quite time it right, and takes a good 100 damage. One of the hardest hitting specials in the game. That's 100 blunt damage right there. And again, a very good comeback by his opponent.
And do you see how Volley tried to do a magic trash can, but he whiffed it?
He did. He did.
Like he had the opportunity to do an amazing play, but he missed.
Well, it's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks.
Definitely
Trash can playstyle is unique. Absolutely, exactly. It's one thing to do it in the Juilliard, but it's another thing to do it when there's these sort of stakes on the line. Goes for the kick. Doesn't his opponent doesn't fall for it. Get back into a counter rally. So yeah, so Volley's gone for a Messer as his backup, and by doing that, maybe it means that he feels that if his opponent goes to something like a Vanguard, he can use a weapon that's very good against that class without having to switch. Because of course, in this tournament, you're only allowed 2 loadouts. Another disarm, and this time going for that combo, using the block to cancel the follow through with the slash, and making sure he gets that hit off. And now he's got the real front foot on his opponent. His opponent's going to have to counter exceedingly well, otherwise he's going to get disarmed. And nope, Volley just catching him out with a good slash XL there. It's good. It's a good adaptation by Volley, realizing that he wasn't punishing those disarms and adapting by comboing. So if you have a slash weapon and you disarm someone or hit someone, you can actually use the block button to cancel the swing through and combo it with a counter, which can be faster than actually just doing a regular combo, especially if you disarm them with an XL.
Kuskus just switched to a greatsword.
He just switched to a greatsword. Now this is interesting because Volley seems to be sticking with the Danax, even though his opponent's gone with the Vanguard. So in spite of the fact he has that backup, maybe traditionally the Messer being seen as better at dealing with Vanguards because it only takes 2 overheads to kill one. But no, sticking with his Danax, clearly working quite well for him at the moment. Oh, a nice slash there. You can see his opponent, even with the greatsword, going for those nice side drags with the greatsword slash. Volley getting a good read, I think maybe after doing them quite a few times, Volley starting to adapt quite nicely. Now, I think one reason, and this is just speculation, but he blocked the jab, maybe got the read on it, or just had enough stamina to realize he could keep his guard up a bit longer, and then punishing it with the slash. His opponent was getting disarmed very frequently. Kuskus was getting disarmed very frequently in those previous fights, and maybe he just felt that by switching from Footman to Vanguard, he would get a bit of a higher stam pool to keep his stamina up a bit longer. So maybe that was his line of thinking when he made that change.
By the way, QC, you're absolutely right. You do not regenerate stamina while you're crouching, but you know, I don't know why people crouch in the game. It's quite fun. Occasionally I'm able to get a gamble in by crouching, but
yes, crouching has its uses, and I think that the change where crouching no longer lets you regen stam was actually was implemented quite early in the life of the game. One of the earlier patches, sort of when the game was fairly new. Crouching still has its place, and the thing to bear in mind is, yes, crouching won't regen stam, but if you crouch when you're doing an action that costs you stamina, it doesn't matter because you won't be regenning stam anyway. So people will often crouch into things like jabs and spins, because you're going to be burning stam regardless. Whether or not you crouch is not going to affect your total stam consumption or stam regen. But yes, players often will go into a non-crouch position when they're not attacking or blocking.
And Kuskus changed back to Footman.
Yeah, maybe feeling that switch was not quite working for him and going back to the weapon which he was having some decent success.
That's a bit of the problem, Swooshy. When you switch to a different class this late into the best of 5, you know, you have to stick to it. You know, can't admit your mistakes.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think there's something to be said for just trying something new, because you never know until you try it, right? And if something's not working, but I say he was not having much more success, at least in his opinion, so maybe just go for another one. Oh, Volley going for the spin, but his opponent gambling it really well, but Volley going for a nice neutral overhead and decapitating his opponent, and that was really well played. Volley sort of really settling into his rhythm as he got into that fight, and eventually proved too strong for Kuskus to overcome. But well played by Kuskus Raisins. He did really give him a push in those earlier rounds. So really well played to him. Volley had to work for that one for sure. So congratulations to Volley for making the semi-finals, and I believe being our first qualifier for the finals in bracket qualifier 3. So well done, Volley. Congratulations. We all look forward to seeing you in the finals. Hefner with the heavy mace, perhaps again feeling like he wants a bit of that stam advantage to match Wandy's poleaxe, which has the same buff. Hefner is a very good player.
Yeah, very, but very we'll have to be able to take down Woody. Wandy. Whoopsie. Jesus Christ. I've been calling him Woody my entire life.
That's the question. If he does, it'll be because he played the match of his life, because Wandy will give you absolutely nothing for free. You will not beat Wandy unless you earn it. He is the ultimate skill check in this game.
Well,
you have to play so well to beat him.
To be fair, Swoosh, you've been talking very highly of Woody. Like, I'm just saying, if you like him so much, why don't you marry him? I'm going for Hefner on this one.
Okay, all right. I like this. I like a bit of I like a bit of face off in our favorites, or at least our picks. Okay. We'll think of a forfeit. We'll think of a forfeit at some point, maybe, as to who picks correctly. And and Hefner showing the little known but very entertaining crouch while moving at sprinting speed glitch. Don't get me wrong, Hefner is a fantastic player, and I can assure you he's killed me plenty of times in the duel yard, so I by no means underestimate his abilities, but oh, what an Axel by Wandy with the slash. I suspect there might have been a bit of lockout there, potentially, because the heavy mace is very susceptible to lockout with the heavy slashes. Lockout being where after your attack gets countered, you can't actually put an input for a split second. And perhaps Wandy just Axeling counters so quickly that he actually gets the hit in before his opponent could even get the block up.
You know, I just said I hope that Hefner wins. I still do. But I do have a feeling that hoping doesn't work in this world.
It can work, but yeah. Hefner will give it his all. And he's playing very well. You can see he's got some crisp attacks with his weapon, but Wandy moving around his opponent's guard very nicely there. And you can just see when we talk about that impenetrable defense, just so hard to beat him. And when the opponent goes for an Axel, he'll just block it, knowing safely that he'll counter everything else. And a nice combo there with a slash to finish.
Like and the thing is, if you're looking at it from an outwards perspective, it looks quite easy what Wandy is doing.
Yes.
But it requires a lot of skill to predict all these different strikes and all these different things that the opponents do with all these different weapons.
Absolutely. There's far more nuance, I think, to his game than people give him credit for. You can't just stand there and block and counter everything. You know, you have to be very good at reading what the opponent's doing, being able to deal with various mix-ups, various sort of deceptive attacks, and a good use of footwork as well to make sure that he's not outmaneuvered. It's what I'd call it understated playstyle, and clearly working well. Hefner going for the mirror match now, going for the poleaxe. Interesting choice. Kind of again, same with the stand buff, so no changes there, but maybe just feeling like this is a more comfortable weapon for him potentially. You can see Wandy kind of subtly moving past Hefner's guard, trying to get around his parry, forcing Hefner to sort of pivot on the spot and maybe outmaneuver his turn cap when he's going for those counters.
Well, to be fair, I've dabbled into the poleaxe recently.
It's a good weapon, isn't it?
Well, I really enjoy it, but I enjoy the special the most. But no one has used the special yet. It's quite deceiving.
It's very deceiving, and here's a fun fact, which apparently is the case. Wandy realizing his opponent might be quite low on stam and going for those jabs to make him not be able to land those counters and maybe stam him out even more. We'll see if Hefner can maintain his stamina after that. Getting one hit though, and I suspect Wandy might have regenerated a bit of stam after that. Wandy will often go, a nice double overhead as well to finish. That was a very deceptive move. Wandy will often go for jabs when he's also low on stamina. One, to mix things up, and secondly, to stop his opponent from axelling his stamina down. I'm not sure Wandy's taken a hit in the last few rounds. Again,
well,
you know,
the nickname that you gave him, the Wall, is quite soothing, I must say.
It's the name he gave himself if you look under his name card.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at least he's self-aware.
Yeah, but the question is, who will make it fall?
This is true, and there are some very good players. There are players in this bracket who can beat him, who have beaten him, at least in the duel yard. And Warbeast is in this match, so if they do face each other in the finals, Warbeast, I believe, beating Wandy in the playoffs in the previous Trial by Blood. So there are players who can beat this card. No one's invincible in this game. Anyone could be beat. But again,
except Duma.
You have to earn it.
Duma is invincible. I'm betting my money that he will win this entire tournament.
Oh, a nice feint to jab there. Duma was pretty imperious in the last bracket, so we'll see if any players here. And another feint to jab, realizing his opponent's countering quite early and using that to punish him quite nicely. Getting another slash in. Those slash XLs are so fast with the poleaxe. Even though the poleaxe's slash is not very long, it's really fast. And if he's in his opponent's face after those jabs, he's able to just get those nice axles going.
Yeah, and the overhead has a surprising long range.
Yes, the overhead, and a nice good stab by Wandy, sort of catching his opponent mid-animation.
And Wandy wins another 5-0. Jesus Christ, who will stop this guy?
Well, after all, he is our Wandy Wall. Going for a falchion. Ah, I see, not a Warhammer. I guess wanting that bit of extra raw damage since his opponent's a Vanguard. One-handers can be very effective against Katars because the main way that you land big unblockable damage is... a good special, though. The miss to jab and the gamble special. The miss to jab followed by special and the regular attack and then gambling a special don't work as well on a nice... definitely evaded by MK there. Good hit, though, with the special by MJ, so clearly still very dangerous.
And MK is really preserving his health and stamina.
Yes, and he's got the shield as well, which is another good thing. So he knows he can sort of... You'll get 15 unavoidable damage if you block the special attack, but he is a knight, so he can eat a lot of those. And he has a shield, a heavy shield, which means he can just parry a lot of specials before he gets run out of stam. MJ going for a more orthodox approach, maybe thinking that the Katars weren't working. So the main ways to... Or two of the most common ways to get a special attack in on the opponent with the Katars and do big damage is to either do a counter miss to special, or just counter, hit the opponent's parry, and then gamble the special. If someone has a one-hander, often they can get the attack off before you can do either technique. It's only really with the slow weapons you can really exploit it, things like the Messer, the Greatsword. So one-handers are quite a good counterpick to Katars in some situations if you know how to use it. Right, MK going for the heavy mace, so he's also making a swap. And I think they are good to go. And now both players using a bit more of an orthodox loadout, so perhaps a more traditional loadout here. Good whiff punish by MJ, maybe just a slight overdrag there by MK with the slash. Oh, a nice gamble with the slash. That came out lightning quick, and MK definitely got caught off guard there, maybe not expecting it to come so quick. A nice heavy feint there, and then a combo with the slash into a jab to stop the gamble. And then, a bit unfortunate there, catching... a nice disarm, though. That combo of hits and jabs knocking down his opponent's stand with that heavy mace and a kick to finish. So to clarify for our viewers who weren't here at the last bracket, just because you get the 4 semi-finalists will make it to the finals, which will take place next Sunday. However, if you get knocked out in the quarters, there is a playoff for 5th place. And 5th place will also get a qualifying spot. So just because you get knocked out in this round, you are not out yet. Another nice slash gamble. I think using those stab to... And another miss to gamble. Very good at deceiving MK, sort of trying to... going for one more, but MK maybe getting the read that time and seeing it coming and punishing him for it. The longsword's very good at those sort of gamble strats, especially against something like that's a bit slower, like the heavy mace. Feint to jab, but he kept his guard up and it didn't land. Another disarm though, and again that heavy mace is just so punishing with its stam. MJ going for the series of slashes, maybe getting a few more gambles, but not quite enough. And MK
doesn't work. You get MK.
No, MK spaced that really well, sort of keeping his range, realizing that he can bait the punish eventually. Bait the whiff, I should say, and punish it. And MJ going back to Katars, maybe feeling like he wants the more unorthodox matchup just to maybe be... And MK going again for the counter pick with the one-hander. So he's clearly got a game plan when it comes to facing MJ, clearly trying to adapt to a very unorthodox playstyle. The heavy shield is such an asset when it comes to dueling. I think it has upwards of nearly 500 damage before it gets... going for a special. Now that's quite clever actually, especially if you're out of the Katars range, because again, the Katars The Katars can't... specials... Oh, nice series of stabs, though, and MK already very low on health, so he needs to be very careful here.
MJ is cutting MK up.
Yeah, it's very tempting to feel like, okay, so Katars don't have hit stun, right? So I will simply... Oh, and going for the counter miss into headbutt, very clever. Oh, and then a gamble with the stab, and that was a very good win. Very, very dangerous, those weapons. Players often think that because Katars don't have hit stun, they can just trade with the hits. The problem is, one, after you land the hit, there's a very quick recovery, so you can quickly get your parry up. But secondly, those hits add up. And even if you feel you can take the odd hit, it does wear your health pool down very quickly, especially if you're not actually getting successful trades. And that, I think, is exactly what happened there. Maybe MK just being a bit too aggressive, not dealing with those stabs quickly enough or defensively enough. And he needs to make sure he uses that shield. MJ doing a good stab around the side, going for the kick. Needs to be careful, MJ, to make sure that he isn't out of range, because every single miss special is going to cost him a lot of stamina. Good use of jab to steal initiative back. Going for the headbutt, and he actually lands it. Again, yeah, and another overhead round the side.
Interrupting MK's special.
Yes, and punishing the whiff with the special again, and sneaking in a very quick stab to finish him. And suddenly MK is not going to have the procession maybe he thought he was hoping for. One way you can catch them is by using very heavy drags and making them miss their counter windows, and then just winning the trade on damage, because the Katars don't have the highest damage in the game. And of course they can't block it because the Katars lose a lot of stam from just blocking attacks, so if you block a heavy drag, you'll often get disarmed very quickly. His opponent going for the kick there, and very patient by MK this time to wait. Oh, and the nice combination of overheads and slashes. MJ getting caught a bit out of range there. Maybe MK realizing he has to keep his distance to not get caught into the Katars' sort of cycle of stabs and specials. 4-2 now. Can see him retreating. He's clearly realized that maybe the safest bet is to actually stay out of the range. When you do a special with the Katars, as good as it is, it does have some major limitations. One, the turn cap is very low. But secondly, if you're running at someone, you do go right down to a crawl. You stop moving forwards and lose all the momentum. So it can be quite easy if you have good spacing to bait the whiff. And again, missing a special is very costly for the Katars due to the stam disadvantage it gives you. Good headbutt though by MJ. And MK going for throwing his shield, picking it up again, maybe just trying to get the quick throw to finish his opponent off. And MK holding his shield up, realizing maybe that he can, and going for another one. And going for a nice trade and realizing that he can maybe just get that one after the special, and his opponent won't special back because he's done it recently. And there you go. Well adapted by MK to deal with what was shaping up to be a very tricky situation. 5-2.
It's War Beast against Gingy.
War Beast against Gingy. I don't know about you guys, viewers, but I am very excited to see this one. As soon as the bracket came out, the first thing I did was start calculating who was going to potentially make the quarterfinals or may have been the favorite, and seeing that Gingy and War Beast were on a collision course in the quarterfinals got me very excited. And War Beast going with the heavy mace, a weapon that he actually has picked up quite frequently since the buff to the stam drain, a common theme that we've seen. And Gingy going for the one-handed axe and shield. So sticking with that one-handed play that we thought. So, and War Beast lining up the tackle already. He's really not messing around with these today. Let's see. Maybe try and bait the whiff first, and War Beast gets blocked with the tackle and then tries to go for a follow-up. You saw how he actually leaned back and crouched as he did it. Oh, a nice kick by Gingy, though. Yeah, War Beast will often tackle, and if it gets blocked, he'll crouch, lean back, so that he doesn't get punished with a jab and get a follow-up attack. War Beast read that kick that time, though. Ooh, kind of caught Gingy on the back there with that slash. You see here, Gingy very much likes the neutral game. He likes his resets. He doesn't want to get drawn out. Good shield throw, catching War Beast. Oh, and a nice neutral to finish again. Gingy is very, very good at the neutral game with one-handers. He will often do resets, so he won't get into a protracted rally. He'll take a hit, walk up to his opponent, and then wait for them to start an attack, and then know that he can beat them out with a faster weapon. This matchup is quite interesting for a couple of reasons. One, the contrast in playstyles, but secondly, Gingy, I think, will feel like his playstyle might match up very well against War Beast, specifically because War Beast has very high ping. I believe he's currently around... He tends to range around 60 to 70 ping, which is, for people who aren't familiar, about the same kind of latency that an EU player in West might get against a player in an NA server. Now, generally speaking, that has some disadvantages. Mostly, obviously, attacks will hit you faster relative to how you see them. because by the time you've seen the move coming in, the animation's already started on their end. This does make an opponent with high ping susceptible to very fast moves. Things like jabs, kicks, one-handed axels. Often they'll hit you before you're able to register it. So Warbeast is going to have to be very careful to play around that, because it's going to be a challenge he has to overcome. But Warbeast with good spacing, almost doing the reverse sort of backhanded slap there, baiting Gingy in and turning with a nice reverse slash at the last minute. And that's something that Warbeast is very good at. He isn't just afraid to do orthodox attacks. He'll often do alt attacks, either out of rallies or out of neutral, to sort of give his opponent different looks in different directions. Opponent flourishing Gingy there, asking for a warm-up match, clearly not realizing that Gingy is currently in the quarterfinal. 1-1. Warbeast is as experienced a duelist as you'll ever see in this game. He knows every mix-up. He uses every set. He'll use the tackles. He'll use the jabs, the specials, alt attacks, neutrals. Going for a combo swing there. Maybe feeling that Gingy being resetting too often might make him susceptible to a combo swing. And of course, he can always just combo feint to parry if he realizes his opponent's going to attack. Some good neutral jabs by Gingy. Maybe just trying to put the pressure on Warbeast or stop him from doing those combos.
That's 15 damage a pop right there.
And of course, yes, with the medium shield doing an increased amount of damage. Got to be careful though. They're both quite low on health, and Gingy can't afford to take another hit. However, Warbeast, and a nice slash drag by the axe. Very hard to do, and I think maybe just catching Warbeast's counter out. 2-1. And I think just as we expected, a very contrasting set of playstyles, but a very, very close fight so far. Both players are going to have to play out of their comfort zone to some degree to win this fight. But so far, I would say Gingy's strategy is working quite well. And Warbeast not messing around. The instant the opponent says go, a nice heavy overhead. Maybe, you'd expect the tackle to come in, but instead going for a nice... feint, heavy feint, and catching Gingy for a huge amount of damage, all but one hit from from death now. Good kick there by Gingy, so not out of it yet. You can see Warbeast is actually being quite clever here. He's actually dodging away. That was a nice, I think, combo feint to parry to. And a nice combo, just catching him right at the end of the range with that heavy mace slash, deceptively long. Like Gingy has. Resumed, come back, and hopefully we'll have a nice hitch-free match, and we can continue perhaps from Warbeast's perspective. And again, we probably should have seen this coming, going for the tackle. Gingy, very clever there. So the tackle will only work if you have enough run-up distance, otherwise you'll get caught in the animation. And Gingy seeing the tackle coming after seeing it a few times, and deciding to close the distance so that when Warbeast goes for the tackle, it doesn't quite connect. See them both trying to angle around their guards, getting into more of a standard counter rally. So either Gingy low on health, or and here's the reset. Gingy going for the gamble, but Warbeast maybe anticipating it and going for a very fast slash. Couple of whiffs. And now the pace is steadied down into what we expect a bit more. And I think Warbeast getting a bit of a read on those neutral gambles, because he's realizing that sort of almost anticipating the timing of the attack from and picking up his opponent's shield and then putting out the one-handed sword, maybe just feeling he can get a couple of extra hits or maybe deal with that sort of neutral playstyle a bit better with the fast weapon. A nice gamble and good footwork there and catching him, and then another whiff punish. Amazing spacing by Warbeast, taking his opponent's head off there. Very clever to take his opponent's shield after throwing it.
This is getting interesting.
This is getting very interesting indeed. I mean, this is so close.
It can go either way.
Every fight has been, an absolute shootout. Warbeast starting with his signature tackle. And this time, Gingy just opting to block it, and then Warbeast making the space so that he doesn't get punished with the jab, and then landing a nice overhead. That was unlucky by Gingy, maybe mistiming that special, but Warbeast getting the read, or maybe not enough distance, and Warbeast punishing it. And then Warbeast with the throwing knives, maybe just trying to get a quick kill there. Really is showing everything on display here. And then going for the tackle into a crouching stab, and Gingy not able to punish it in time, and the range of the one-handed stab catching Gingy at the end there. I was about to say that Gingy might need to think of a change-up here, because Warbeast getting a good read on that neutral sort of gamble overhead kind of playstyle. Anticipating those gambles. Yep, Warhammer it is. And a heavy shield for good measure, so a bit more stam advantage and a bit more damage. And now Gingy really leaning into the sort of more oppressive neutral game, getting right in his opponent's face, just trying to maybe use that ping advantage to catch Warbeast off guard there. A nice overhead by Warbeast, almost deceptive in the way he moved to the side as he did that double overhead. Going for the kick, not quite landing it, but making good space at the same time. We saw Dog do that a lot in the first qualifier, using the kick to maybe make some distance. Can be very effective against fast weapons.
Oh, he switched from overhead to side hits.
Yes, good mix up there. Going for the gamble, and I think, again, this is something that he started getting the read on Gingy, realizing that Gingy's often resetting and going for neutral attacks, and Warbeast just realizing he can just... Oh, a nice slash at the ankles, though, by Gingy, and pulling that one away. Very close fight, but Gingy's adaptation with his loadout working very well there. A few less hits to kill. Warbeast is realizing that Gingy's pausing between attacks to throw Warbeast off guard. So Warbeast has started comboing his attacks by doing combo swings, realizing that when he sees Gingy about to go for an attack, he can always combo feint to parry to get his guard up regardless. But if Gingy takes too long to get his attack in, Warbeast will land his hit first. And the heavy mace can be very fast with those axles. So a very clever adaptation by Warbeast to Gingy's playstyle. Gingy sticking with the two-handed, the Warhammer, clearly paying dividends last time, so try again. Another tackle, a good dodge by, that was almost like Muhammad Ali, just a slick little shuffle to the side there. And now Warbeast probably with a bit of a stam disadvantage, having whiffed the tackle. Trying to get around their guards. Warbeast, you see doing those dodges to get sort of make some distance as well. Not wanting to get caught, you know, with those jabs and those kicks, making sure that he's not caught so that he doesn't get caught out by them by accident. Jab collision, Gingy got the initiative there because he landed it first. Another jab, and Warbeast very low, and I think Gingy probably quite content to go for things like jabs and kicks and shield throws just to finish him off. And a good kick, and Warbeast not getting the read of that in time, and getting the kill, and this is getting really, really close now, guys.
Yeah, Gingy making a comeback.
Sudden death. And remember, this is for a playoff spot for the finals, so whoever wins this next fight is going to get through with a guaranteed spot to the finals of Trial by Blood. So there is, to say the least, a lot on the line here. Will be sticking with his bread and butter. That heavy mace has been working for him. Gingy going for the loadout that has been proving very effective the last 2 rounds. So the question is, have they learnt enough from each other in these last few rounds to make the adaptations needed to get the win? I think we can expect more kicks from Gingy. Will Warbeast get the read? The problem Warbeast has is he's going to have to... He's going to struggle to stam out Gingy with that shield. He's either going to have to get a nice... Oh, yes, he just about punished that kick. Oh, and another hit, and Warbeast just struggling to deal with those axels. But he gets a hit of his own and a nice overhead. Now, Gingy's shield is quite low on stam, so it's paid dividends so far as he's not had to counter, and he's been able to play fairly safe. But if Warbeast gets that break on the shield, he's going to have a huge amount of... he's going to have a great opportunity to get a punish in. Going... Oh, yes, Warbeast with the combo feint to parry, just about avoiding... Oh, but Gingy going in with a nice overhead axle again. Super, super close fight. But Gingy, really, really clever game there to sort of just work around Warbeast.
Yeah, Gingy making a beautiful comeback.
Yeah, that was incredible. Really, really well played by Gingy. So congratulations to you for making the finals. And Warbeast will have another chance because he's now going into the playoffs for 5th place. So he's not out of it yet. But Gingy, I'm sure, will be very relieved to get past an absolutely titanic hurdle in Warbeast. So Volley has the skill set to get around 1D's guard, which so far people have very much struggled to do, and already we can see a clever use of jab into Axel. The question is, does he have enough in his arsenal to beat 1D 5 times? And there is the challenge. You can see he's already angling for those side hits, trying to get around 1D's guard. 1D, not the most mobile player. You can see he's not moving particularly quickly. He's relatively static when he plays. So maybe Volley feeling that he can get those side hits, maybe just trying to get around 1D's guard, exploiting that sort of not moving as quickly. Volley, you can see, is moving left and right, trying to weave around that guard. But so far, and a gamble with the overhead by 1D, that was very, very well timed. Maybe reading that Volley's going for too many heavy drags with the overhead, trying to get around that guard and getting a big punish. I'm sure Volley will, at the very, very least, try to give this a good match. Went for the jab, same opening as before, but not quite closing the distance enough. Going for a miss. I don't know if he was, if that was intentional, or maybe he was trying to bait a Mr. Gamble or a Mr. Jab or something. But oh, Wandy with a slash as he turns around to face his opponent. A lot of ripostes. Like I said earlier, Wandy will often try and riposte a lot of Axels to play it safe so he doesn't get caught out. And realizing his opponent's riposting too, of course, you get stand back when you hit someone's riposte yourself. Feint a jab, maybe reading that his opponent's low on stam again. I saw a couple of.
It's like Wandy has figured it out.
Yeah, he's very good at reading his opponent. And volley, so you're trying to get. I've noticed they say we were talking about earlier how Wandy likes to riposte Axels, and Wandy going for a miss to jab and completely catching volley off guard there, I think. And it appears that the refs have decided that they've had enough of each other and want to kill each other.
Yes, clearly Bulbasaur fighting Cody for ownership of the Trial by Blood community.
Well, I feel like if there's one way to settle something like that, it should be in the ring, I agree. Looks like Volley's gone for the pole. Is that a pole hammer I see with that?
That's a pole hammer. That's a pole hammer with a skin.
So, a couple of things this will do. Again, higher stam drain with the blunt weapon. And again, it's on a knight as well, so that blunt damage will be very effective. Okay, I should word this carefully. The pole hammer is very good at a glitch in the game, I would say, called handle hits. And speak of the devil, there we see one right there. So maybe feeling like if he gets a few fortuitous hits in, maybe getting a few free hits. I mean, I know it sounds dirty to say, but a very effective weapon in that regard. Big handle hit there, was able to get a good hit on Wandy. Wandy's settling into his rhythm though, so not landed a hit though on Volley yet. And Volley is very good with this weapon, so you say he's not out of his comfort zone by going for this counter pick. You could see in the chat earlier he was taking his time trying to think of how to best approach Wandy, and maybe this might have been the right play. A handle hit effectively is where you aren't excelling the weapon, but it hits the opponent immediately anyway, and in some circumstances it's actually unblockable, so very, very dangerous. Oh, a good kick by Wandy, and just about catching it with the overhead as well, for even more damage than the slash, and then Wandy catching it either around the back of the guard or Volley mistiming his counter. Volley saying he thinks he's lost. Well, don't count yourself out yet, Volley. You still have a shot. It's not over. And his teammate Luringen, giving him a bit of encouragement in the chat. So Volley now saying he believes. And players actively coaching Volley in the chat, which I should remind everyone is actually accessible to everyone, including his opponent. So
while Volley is downing a beer, he's counting on the power of alcoholism to win.
Well, beer, or as Volley likes to put it, Bior, is a favourite of his, I happen to know. And sometimes maybe we'll just give him that bit of extra courage that he needs to take on his opponent. Who knows? And clearly decided that Wandy hasn't had enough Bior either. He's being handed a pint to enjoy, a nice mug of refreshing beverage. So at least we know that both players are equally inebriated, at least in game.
Let's discuss the effects of alcohol in Chivalry 2. When you consume alcohol while playing a video game called Chivalry 2, you generally become more courageous.
Yeah, I think you could expect players to take more risks when they have had some alcohol. I did hear once that Torn Banner did say that a very large majority of their Shiv 1 player base was exceedingly drunk when they'd play. So good to see them keeping in line with the spirit of the, spirit of the genre. But in all seriousness, now they are off. And back to perfectly sober dueling.
Will this extra beer make the difference? I hope so.
You'd hope so, although Wandy has got the first hit again, and again, just trying to work around that guard. Oh, nice workaround. But
Volley has that beer confidence.
He did a very nice side hit. You see, again, we talked about how Wandy doesn't move that much, and Volley able to sort of outmaneuver his opponent's counter, hit him in the back with that nice drag, but Wandy, again, just getting more hits, just sort of grinding his opponent down. Volley saying the beer isn't working. Unfortunate that, but it was a good try.
Yeah, he needs another beer. He needs one more beer.
Well, he's got one more chance to claw this back, and he's done. To be fair, I would say that as the rounds have gone on, he's done a slightly better job of getting some hits in. He's managed to get those hits around the back of Wandy's guard, kind of using that good maneuverability that the Vanguard has to get around that guard. But again, it's one thing to hit Wandy once, but to hit him 3 times before he hits you 3 times, so far, no one's managed it. No one's really come that close. He is yet to die in this bracket. Nice double overhead, but Volley getting a good read on that. Again, trying to go for those sort of weaving side to side, trying to get past Volley's guard. Volley with the beg emotes, and Volley spamming the voice emotes. At least they're having fun here.
Yeah, and
enjoying
Wandy is
themselves.
also spamming voice emotes. Jesus Christ.
And a disarm and getting stammed out. Maybe just one too many riposte by Volley.
Ooh. Now we're waiting for MK and Gingy.
MK Gingy, and again another match which I'm very excited to see. Again, a bit of a contrast. Generally speaking, MK does like more of maybe a bit more like Wandy, a bit more like Duma. Likes to play at a very high tempo, do a lot of mixes of axels and drags, a lot of jabs, keep the pressure on the opponent. And Gingy liking to use the fast weapons, do the resets, do the gambles, really throw off his opponent's rhythm. I would not be surprised if we see MK trying to match the playstyle with something like a Warhammer. MK with a Danax. Hello. Well, if he sticks with this, I'll be a bit surprised. That is not a weapon that I was aware that he used a lot, but maybe feeling that if his opponent goes for a footman, that extra chop damage and speed is the perfect combination to deal with Gingy's loadout. And clearly MK uses this loadout all the time. Clearly loves the Vanguard. Seems to have not even upgraded his character enough to change the loadout, so maybe a bit of an unorthodox approach for him. But I'm sure he knows what he's doing. The Danax is one of those two-handed weapons that is so quick it almost can match a one-hander for speed, almost. But of course does a lot more damage than a one-handed axe.
Ooh!
Nice spin by MK, and we were talking about this before. Going for a feinted jab, but Gingy getting a good read with that guard. MK has some of the best spins you will see. He's taken it, and it's almost like watching a ballet dancer, or like the way he can spin so quickly. It's just almost deceptive. He's very good at also disguising axels as spins and vice versa. So very good at using the spins to their full advantage. Disarming Gingy's shield. Gingy with a very, very well-timed dodge, getting away from that punish, and having a new lease at life here. And maybe that might be enough for him to make a comeback. We'll see. Oh, but a huge, huge slash drag by MK, and kind of taking advantage of that short counter window that the one-handed axe has, and Gingy maybe feeling he has to counter a bit more because his stamina's running out and getting caught out with the drag. Really well played. Close fight, though. Again, this could be quite a competitive round.
Yeah, but will Gingy change loadouts, or will he stick to his shield and axe?
Good question. If anything, he may go for a chop weapon. He's on a chop weapon now. He may go for a slash weapon that just has higher raw damage. Yeah, he might go for a slash weapon. He might go for a heavy shield to keep a bit more health on that shield. Beyond that, maybe try Katars. He saw he would have seen MJ do very well with them against MK earlier, and of course Gingy himself very good with the Katars. So maybe that's a mix-up he could try. Getting the first hit though, so maybe content with his current loadout, and he's going toe to toe with MK easily. You know, Gingy is very good at the orthodox playstyle as well, so maybe just deciding he wants to just stick with it. Classic counter rally here, but MK with a really crisp spin there. Gingy getting a good punish though with the shield throw.
Yeah, shield to the knees.
Gingy going for the riposte jab, and MK reading it and keeping his parry up. Both of them are very close to being killed. I think MK can afford one more hit, but Gingy definitely cannot. So Gingy has to be careful. Slight overdrag, but managing to save it. Oh, and the disarm, and he doesn't fail to punish it that time.
Yeah, there's no escape from that Danax once you lose your weapon.
No, especially with the overhead combos, they're so quick. The Danax overheads are so fast that if you can chain them quickly enough, you you can almost guarantee a punish if you're at range, if you disarm someone. So very good finish there by MK. I think at this point we can consider, will Gingy go for a mix-up? And he has, speak of the devil, there is Gingy with the Vanguard Ambusher loadout, another favorite of his. No Katars. No Katars. He's gone for what looks like a short sword, I think.
No, that's a dagger.
Is that a dagger? Okay, now that is interesting. Oh, a nice feint to stab there. And the dagger stab does a huge amount of damage for a weapon of that speed. 50 damage, I believe. Not to mention a very he went for the jab gamble, and MK maybe anticipating it because he kept his guard up. But MK already very low on health and struggling a bit more with this faster weapon. And another jab gamble works really, really well. And this may be the loadout he needed. And MK making the switch. Now, this is where the mind games come into play, because we've already seen that you can't switch and switch back. So maybe Gingy trying to bait MK out into this loadout and then make the switch back when he's already stuck. Already made the commitment to the swap. We'll see if that happens. But it's a bit of strategy we've seen in this tournament so far, where players will often make a weapon swap to force their opponent to swap and kind of beat them in the sort of the loadout. Another jab gamble, but MK reading it and keeping his block up again. Again, the stam advantage with the heavy mace very advantageous. Good gamble by Gingy with the overhead, reading the spin nicely. And another miss to jab. You can see, even though the weapon's not quick, he can close the distance with the speed of the ambusher because of the Vanguard's foot speed and closing for the jab. A few throwing knives. MK again, very low on health. Those stabs doing some good work there. You only need 4 stabs or 3 stabs in any other attack, basically, with the dagger to kill someone. Not to mention, the dagger has a 100... Oh, and a nice quick stab there, and MK not reading it in time. The dagger does 100 damage, 150 on an opponent with their back turn. One of 2 ways you can kill a Vanguard in one hit, actually. And another way you can one-shot a footman. It does a huge amount of damage. So be on the eye out for that. If Gingy feels he has a bit of space and his opponent's being too passive, he might just go for a special with the dagger. Going for another jab gamble. And I believe that was actually an active parry on the jab. But he does another gamble with the slash. And MK kind of getting a bit stuck here because he feels like he's so susceptible to gambles, perhaps, that he has to keep his guard up a bit longer than he'd like. MK countering anticipating the jab gamble and jabbing back himself for initiative, but a nice whiff punish with the throwing knives by Gingy. And of course, as an ambusher, he has 7 of them, so MK has to be careful not to whiff too much at range, because Gingy will just throw a knife at him. Oh, a huge slash drag though by MK. Another, yeah. Gingy really going for those jab gambles, and MK going for those held guards to get around it, or to not fall for it. Another slash drag and a nice stab, a nice jab to finish. Again, there is the trade-off with the one-handed weapons. Faster attacks, but shorter counter windows, and you're more susceptible to drags.
Will he be able to get through to the finals with just this loadout? Like, the thing is, the throwing knives, they're very efficient, and they work quite well, but eventually you'll get used to them.
Exactly, and I'm sure we'll see MK get used to this playstyle. It's unorthodox, it's maybe not what he's used to playing a lot, but he learns quickly. We've seen that already in his fight against MJ, so... Nice whiff punish with the stab, though, yeah. And the stab with the dagger, deceptively long. It's always much quicker than you think it is. Players will often turn their back to run away and get caught by it, such as its range. The character almost turns their shoulder into the attack, like the one-handed sword. A nice trade of jabs and kicks there. A clutch dodge by MK. I don't know if that was intentional, but it paid off for him. Nice spin there again. Gingy making space, going more for the neutral game, realizing it's working out for him, and another really good light drag with the slash. Immediately getting his guard up, MK, to protect himself from the jab. Go for another drag. Gingy using those jabs again to try and maybe throw MK off his rhythm. Ooh, and a nice stab, almost like an inverted side hit. Almost, it was kind of turning into it at the last second, and Gingy not getting the read. 4-2. Gingy's put up a good fight so far. He's gone back to his footman, though, so maybe deciding he just needs to do a last switch up, maybe see if he can turn the tide a little bit. They have been close fights, and Gingy's got a lot of damage in. You know, sort of maybe more unorthodox tactics. Another light drag, though, and Gingy not catching those quite as well as he would like. And you can see MK almost, he doesn't just drag it, he walks away from the attack as he does it. One, to make space, but secondly, to sort of protract the length of the drag even further. And it just sort of hovers in the air forever, even though it's a light attack. Oh, and Gingy going for the neutral, but MK maybe getting the read or just going for it and getting a really fast slash axel, beating out Gingy on that one. And that's a very good win, 5-2. Scrappy fight, but very, very high skill, very entertaining. And MK is our first finalist, I believe. Looks like we're going to have our playoff for the 5th place qualifier between Warbeast and we'll see momentarily. That might be Couscous Raisins. Yeah, that's what I thought. Again, another player who's played very well, so no surprises he's made it this far. And for these two, it's all on the line. If they want to get a place into the finals, they're going to have to win this match. So I'm sure they'll give it their all.
Oh, and Warby's doing the classic
tackle. Yep, going for it. Trying to catch him with the special, but not quite doing it. And then instead of doing the tackle, just punishing him with an overhead. And again, another tackle coming in. Oh, and he blocks it in time, but then able to get that overhead before he can get punished. Now, this is something that we talked about Gingy doing this against Warbeast a lot too, but Warbeast likes to do a lot of delayed riposte as well.
Warbeast is trying to do something funny.
He is trying to do something funny, but he has to be careful. He's quite low on health. I think trying to get the throw. Oh, and he gets it! The last throwing knife. Finishing his opponent. Like I said, he just uses everything available to him and just punishing the whiff. Thank you, Codino, for gifting the subs. Much appreciated. Again, we'll try and do a shout out to all viewers who've done a sub, but we'll call them out when we can in chat as well. But thank you again for all your support, guys. Again, we made affiliate this week, and it's fantastic that we can now accept contributions through the Twitch channel to support our players in the prize pools. So thank you again for your support. Good jab gamble by Couscous. Again, very effective when you try and do delayed riposte, like Warbeast has been doing a fair bit here. Warbeast will often take the parry, advance on his opponent until he's in their face, and then do a very quick axel, and it makes the opponent very uncomfortable, sort of throwing off their rhythm and making them second guess themselves. Another tackle lined up, no surprise there. He's got to be careful though, because if he gets punished, and he does, his opponent with the quick calculation, realizing that a tackle's coming in, at the last minute getting the throwing knives before Warbeast can react and punishing him with the throw. Warbeast has to be careful. His opponent is quite clever, and he's clearly seen what Warbeast has been up to before.
Couscous just figured out, well, hey, I have something for this.
Yes. I mean, the tackle is not... So far, it's just been blocked, and maybe because players want to play it safe, going again for the throwing knives. But Warbeast are keeping an eye maybe this time, realizing that they might be a factor. Yeah, and that's very clever what Warbeast there. See, he was baiting his opponent to try and hit him by kind of kiting him at range. Again, like a boxer trying to sort of lure him into a trap, and then when he realizes that his opponent's whiffed because he's managed to make him miss the punish when he's running, just do a very quick axel and get him with a big overhead or slash with the heavy mace and disarming his opponent to boot. Oh, that was amazing spacing. You see the way he just didn't even dodge. He just turned his back, took a single step, make his opponent whiff, and then pivot back around into a slash. And that is the sign of a player who's put thousands of hours in the game. He knows every weapon and all the mechanics so well. So economical with that movement. That was clinical.
Well, that was absolutely badass.
That was, yeah, badass is a good way to describe Warbeast. And rely on his superior mechanics to beat you at either game. And again, I think we're lining up for tackle number 12 or whatever it is of this bracket from him. Getting beaten out though, maybe by the gamble with the two-handed hammer. Speaking of which, I changed the two-handed hammer, maybe feeling that that blunt bonus damage on the knight was a bit too punishing. So going for the Vanguard to negate that, and also having been disarmed again, feeling that maybe that extra stamp from the Vanguard will be helpful. Oh, a nice gamble by Couscous though. Really good slash to slash, I think that was. And again, kind of exploiting the fact that Warbeast likes those delayed attacks and realizing that maybe he has enough time to get a good gamble in before Warbeast can get his own attack in. And also just sort of maybe keep Warbeast in check from resetting the neutral too liberally. and Warby's sticking with the heavy mace. Will he go for the one-handed sword again? That's the question. Well, we know he's going to do a tackle. Nope. Same again, baiting the whiff with the run-up. His opponent getting conditioned with the tackle and then just punishing it with a good slash. Not quite hitting the counter though. Good heavy to heavy. No, good double overhead with the two-handed hammer. That's a lot of damage on a knight. So
they're both gauging their distance.
Yeah, both just sort of hit each other just out of the end of range. I think that might have been an active parry potentially because he went for the jab gamble. It seemed to connect, but and a nice good 1-2 combo by Warbeast. That is something you have to be aware of. If you have a very slight delay, if your opponent delays their riposte very slightly, often even if you try and gamble the jab, you'll get caught in their active parry window, and the jab will just not get hit and be a guaranteed punish. So we've seen that a couple of times already. It's a good strategy against players who are a bit slower, but it can backfire very badly, as we saw there. Now, the advantage that Couscous has is that the hits to kill for him will be lower because, when he lands the tackle, goes for the heavy, very patient, not snatching the attack, realizing that his opponent still has to roll out of it and hitting them as they get up, and he goes for another tackle. Both weapons do very similar damage values, but of course Warbeast as a knight will have 50% more damage, trying to go for more punishes, and he does. He realizes his opponent's swinging at the air a lot and getting those throwing knives and punishing it very nicely with a very good knife throw. Going for the bare fist and knives. So as I said, not especially... No, I think his opponents think that it's invisible, and Warbeast is trying to demonstrate that he's just going bare-fisted. I think they don't understand that Warbeast has got the guts to not even bother with a weapon this time. Yeah, and again trying to show, no, I'm not going to use a weapon. All I need are throwing knives and one good tackle. And of course, when you don't have a weapon equipped, your build-up foot, and he goes for it, and a heavy, he's actually going for punches now. When you have no weapon in your hand as a knight, you can build up your speed a lot quicker than if you had a weapon in hand, because the knight is inherently quite slow. And they're throwing knives, and he's actually working, and he finishes him with a punch, and Warbeast wins. Warbeast wins the 5th place playoff without a weapon in his hand. Oh my word!
Christ,
everything.
Swooshy,
I don't know what to say.
I do have to say, this man has the biggest balls in all of Chivalry.
Warbeast.
I am here.
I don't know what to say after that. Besides, wow. What was your thought process when you decided that you'd finish it with bare fists?
Well, I just wanted to have fun, honestly. Like,
yes.
I haven't been playing for like the last 3 weeks. I just got like back to playing like yesterday, and like tried to practice from yesterday, and I just wanted to have some fun on the last match against Legatus, of course.
That's really good to hear, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. How are you feeling about making the finals of Trial by Blood?
I'm glad I did, but I had a tough match with Genji. Well-deserved win for him, of course.
Yeah.
And it's good that we had like a 5th qualifying spot.
Yeah, absolutely, and you did really well to work your way through, like you said, a really tough draw and get that last spot. So congratulations to you. So right now, there is nothing on the line except seeding place for the finals, because there are seedings depending on how you do in the qualifiers, and of course pride.
Yes. If you win your qualifier, you're more likely to win the final duels. On paper,
because you'll be drawn against lower seeds, depending on how people did in their brackets. So I don't think for a second, though, that either of these players feel like they're going to want to give it a rest now. I think they're going to want to win this match just as badly as any of the others. And like I said, these two players have proven absolutely imperious in the draw so far. No one besides maybe MJ against with some very unorthodox tactics have been able to get past these two. They're just so good at the game. And a nice spinning reversal by MK, and that's some of the flair that we know that he's capable of. 1D again, not exuberant, but incredibly effective.
Well, that's the power of SAC. They love their spins.
They love their spins, and we say it's shout out to SAK Clan, demonstrating that they are a force to be reckoned with, and fantastic duelists, 2 finalists from the same clan in this qualifier, and both some of the best duelists in the game. So shout out to Sak, great clan, and very good teachers as well. So far, MK with some very flamboyant moves, but Wondi doing what Wondi does, and not able to be guarded around, or have his guard get beaten. MK going for some runaway strats there. Maybe I can hear him panting his character panting quite heavily. So maybe just trying to make space. And Wondi with a big kick punish at qualifiers. The finals were a bit of a one-sided affair, 7-1 for each of them. So I don't think we'd mind seeing a grand finals with a bit of a good contest, but. Again, like, MK's going to have to play really, really well to kill Wondi even once, I think. As good as he is, like, Wondi will make him earn it. Wondi going for a lot of light drags, and Wondi getting the read on them and replying, and MK being forced to riposte, so he needs to be careful about being stammed out again there. And getting some more counters in, so clearly aware of the situation as well. A nice jab gamble by Wondi, realizing that MK was maybe going for something like a spin or something. Nice drags. Not catching Wondi out yet, though. Maybe a few more Axels might condition him a bit more. Although, what am I to say? MK's a far better player than me, so maybe he knows something I don't. Oh, a big whiff punish by MK, and that poleaxe slash, obviously its shortest attack, and MK with the longer slash in return, and gets a nice kill. Bubble just reminding MK to make sure the players keep their space before the go signal, just to ensure there's no risk of quick starting. And MK's so far forward that he's actually in the middle of the arena, and the referee saying to make space. There we go, nice clean start. So 1-1, and MK, the first player in this draw to get a kill on Wondi with some very, very good offense and spacing. Feint to jab, and again Wondi very, very content to keep his guard up as long as his opponent's not going for a slower attack, and the feint to jab not catching him out at all yet. Some more light drags by MK and a nice spinning reversal. Again, the way that you do... a nice kick, and Wondi getting caught, yeah. Oh, but Wondi replying back with an overhead, yeah. Very long overhead. Oh my word, a 360 feint into special. I don't know how Wondi didn't get bamboozled by that. Stayed very calm to keep his guard up. And MK with every single variation of spin attacks under the sun. We've seen kick to spins, kick to jabs. Kick spins, jab spins. Hits a ref for good measure, and they need to make sure they stay in bounds, but it's hard to do so when they're sort of in the heat of the moment. But a 360 special, we haven't seen one of those in ages, not since they nerfed the turn cap on special attacks, so... I gather the Americans sometimes use that move, so maybe that's where he's got the idea from. Who knows? Good rally here, but as much as for all the flashy moves that MK's throwing at him, Wondi is just completely unshaken and already getting a couple of good hits in. You can throw everything. You can throw the kitchen sink at this guy, and it just sometimes isn't enough. And again, MK is as good as anyone at throwing every single look at his opponent, but can you do it 5 times?
Yeah,
or 7 in this case.
This just proves that Wondi, like, his defense, it's insane.
It's insane. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? And it also goes to show that, like, maybe some people think that the way to get good at this game is to, for want of a better term, out-jank the opponent, so to speak. You know, use deceptions, mix-ups, you know, some of the more quirky mechanics. But Wondi is a case in point where you don't have to do that. If you are good enough at the fundamentals, and you know how to keep yourself alive, you can beat absolutely anyone. At the end of the day, fundamentals are what count in this game. And if you have that foundation, then you can go as far as you like in this game as a duelist. Very long counter rally here, though. This is no one's landed a hit in quite a while, and MK may even start regenerating some health at this rate. Oh, and Wondi going for the double, and MK, I don't know if he went for a gamble there, potentially. I'm not sure if I saw a counter wind up there, but whatever happened, Wondi beat him out with the overhead and gets the kill.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one.
Yep, and again, 2 players with very good guards. It's a bit like Pablo and Tedo that we saw in the last fight. Their fights will just go on forever because both of them have such good defense that it's just hard to get a hit on either of them. But sometimes all it takes is one hit and it can snowball quite quickly, so It could be over in a blink, but these fights may go on for quite some time. MK again leaning into this very, very accurate light drags. 1D not really phased by them so far. A miss into kick, a very interesting strategy. Maybe feeling like 1D might instinctively parry, anticipating a miss the jab, but 1D made the space there, so it didn't really work. Another feint to jab, but MK maybe high enough on stand. He feels he can keep his parry down a bit longer. Oh, 1D went for a heavy stab drag, tried to almost like work around it. The stab drag very effective on the poleaxe, but not quite catching MK there. Oh, and he lands the kick. MK trying to do a dodge to get out of it, but 1D catching him in time. I saw MK use that move actually against 1D in a warm-up match last night, so maybe 1D actually learned a thing or two from that. Realizing that MK will try and dodge as soon as a kick lands. Good counter rally here. Goes for another kick. Makes a bit of space, but doesn't actually get the guard down, so we're back to square one in that respect. 1D going for a jab, seeing that MK turned his back, but MK... Ooh, resetting to neutral, doing a lot of cancels, maybe feeling he needs to kind of throw 1D off his rhythm. Oh, goes for the jab, but misses it and gets punished quite hard there. He needs to be careful. He's not really... Ah, and then 1D with a very fast Axel stab.
Yeah, Cody, get on with it. Kill him.
And we're good. Well timed, and off we go. Halberd we saw Howl use in Qualifier 1 to great effect, almost qualifying for the final, in fact. So a very good weapon, especially since it got buffed a fair few months ago with the increased damage values. I do wonder what his approach is. Maybe a bit of extra range, potentially? Maybe a few more swing manips? I know that the Halberd is very good at spins, as Howl demonstrated so well in Qualifier 1. Standard rally though, so nothing too flash. Business as usual, besides the change in weapon. No one landing a hit yet. Oh, a nice cancel by 1D. Oh, and another combination. You saw he went for the cancel, almost made his opponent flinch and baited out the counter, and then caught him out of time with the follow-up. Oh, went for the kick, didn't quite fall for it there. And again, his opponent has to be super careful. Now that he's a footman, actually the chop damage on the poleaxe will do a lot of damage to this knight, so he can't really afford many hits. Good play by MK though. He's going toe to toe with him. It's just trying to not make mistakes and not, 1D will wait. He will wait all day if he needs to for you to make that mistake and get one hit in, and just grind you down. Bit of a pause there. Both players trying to figure out what to do. Very good runaway by MK. Barely getting away with that. You could almost feel the weapon graze his back there. Feint to jab. MK getting a good read in it. Good jab collision. And they both are not sure who has the initiative and going for another jab again and eventually just swinging out of it. Ooh, 360 kick. 1D again though, just reading things so well, just not falling for it. Attempt at a stab drag. Again, they're giving each other different looks, but it's not quite working. What's winning these? Oh, and a disarm. And again, just 1D doing 1D things and just grinding his opponent down. As much as we've seen some of the craziest moves by these guys, at the end of the day, the player who's winning these very long protracted rallies is just the player who makes the mistake last. The person who sort of maybe slips in their guard will let an attack through. So again, all these sort of very advanced techniques, but if your defense is good enough and you can read it, it's not going to amount to much. And at the end of the day, it's the fundamental errors like spacing and counter timing that is getting the wins. If you couldn't guess that MK likes the knight because his other loadouts are default. Not to say that he can't use every weapon though as well as he wants, because his grasp of the fundamentals is so strong. Oh, a nice slash Axel there. MK not quite catching that with his guard. So the Halberd is quite interesting, at least from my perspective when I duel against it, because of its length, especially with the weapon that 1D's using with the billhook skin, with quite a small blade. It's kind of hard to keep a track of, and it's quite easy to deceive opponents with the attack swap. So you can often quite convincingly disguise a slash as an overhead and vice versa. if you angle your attack right. It's also very, very good for back hits, which I'm sure both these players know how to do, which is basically where you hit around your opponent's guard, almost behind their shoulder blades by maneuvering past their guard. But to their perspective, it doesn't look like they're... A back hit, almost, if done well, for the recipient, looks like they're safe to guard it, but in reality, you've hit them in the back from the perspective of the player. A nice spin by Wandy. But the halberd is very good at those sort of very deceptive maneuvers which get around opponent's guards. So maybe MK just feels he needs something unorthodox to deceive Wandy to get past his defense. Oh, that was a nice combo dodge to dodge there by Wandy to not get with punished. Very standard counter rally. Nothing crazy here. Again, these players with such good defense. I think MK might have even regen some of his health, such as the length of this exchange.
Yes. Yes, saying interesting stuff while two guys are smacking each other.
Yeah, I won't lie. Yeah, there will come times when there isn't much to say, because these two will simply defend everything they throw at each other, and it may be quite a while before someone gets a hit in. So far, they're both about one hit each.
I mean, I can try. He's going for an overhead, and they're pausing. They're pausing right now, and he went
pausing.
For a slash, and another slash, and
maybe
another slash, and another slash, and
maybe
overhead,
they both.
followed by stab.
Yeah, stab, slash, and overhead. No surprises there, perhaps. And a bit of a pause there, maybe deciding they both need a break. Who knows? I'm sure that our viewers in NA will feel right at home with the length of some of these rallies. I know that the highest level over there, like, it very much is meta to get into these extremely tense exchanges that go on for quite some time.
And we've reached the 3-hour mark.
We've reached the... Congratulations, everyone. We've hit a new record for the qualifiers of Trial by Blood. Such as the defense of these two players. They just can't kill each other. Oh, and a pause, and they both end up in neutral, and Wandy ends up winning basically what was effectively a gamble with the overhead. And Bubble also deciding that he wants to get in on the action and attacking Codino, the referee.
Yes, the referees must be very frustrated refereeing for 3 hours, and now they have to murder each other to blow off some steam.
Yes, well, I'm sure that when this is all over, I'm sure a lot of the players will hop on and continue playing casually, or just catch up with their friends and maybe get a few good duels in themselves. It's quite a good fight, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm sure most people know these players, but for those who don't, like, it's not just the competitors who are good duelists. We have many organizers in this organizing this tournament who are very fine players in their own right. We love to see it. You know, these players, they're competitors, but they know each other. Like, they're in the same clan. They're teammates in that respect. They face each other nearly every day in the duel yard. So, you know, there's a lot of respect there, I'm sure. Now, as well as MK's played, and he has played exceptionally well all through the bracket and in this final, he's going to have to think of something to beat Wandy in the long game. Because against any other player, he probably would have won these fights just by sheer tenacity and keeping his defense up and grinding his opponents down. But Wandy is just one cut above when it comes to good defense, and eventually he's patient enough to realize that his opponent will eventually make a mistake, which is how he's won the previous fights. Going for a kick, and MK doing a good job of turning his back so he doesn't fall for it there. Went for a heavy stab drag. I think he missed it, so he dodged out of it to not be punished. How surprised are you, Jazuza, that we're seeing two halberds in the grand final?
Well, I did not expect two halberds. I expected something different, but...
Oh! He waited like a cobra, crouching, and as soon as he saw his opponent go for the spin, just poked him with a quick stab. That was, yeah, that was the most perfectly timed little snipe of an attack. Yeah, fantastically placed. And that's 6-1. Can MK get another win? Or is Wandy going to be our champion for Qualifier 3? And as a reminder, they're both in the finals already, so obviously they may have another shot at a rematch, but obviously both of these guys will want to win this final. Another rally, and again, this is the pattern we're seeing with this fight, where they'll just start with a basic set of rallies, and then wait till maybe their stam gets low, they have to counter a bit earlier, take a few more risks, and at that point, they'll start becoming more susceptible. What a nice reversal spin there by MK. He turned his back, almost looking like he was doing a 360 axel, and then spins it all the way back around for a nice spin, and Wandy gets caught out by it.
Yeah, MK is definitely giving it his all.
Absolutely. He's playing out of his mind. He's throwing absolutely everything in his arsenal at Wandy. And he's getting the hits in. But again, can he get enough? He has to do 3. And there's 1. Going for another one, clearly realizing that it worked last time, going for another reversal 360. Wandy wise to it that time, though, and catching it with a counter, I believe. Oh, and then looking like he's... So this is very interesting. So he goes for those reversals and then does various sort of variations to that. At that time, instead of going for the spin, just keeps his face turned and then to his opponent and goes for the overhead instead. Very clever mix-up, and one that we don't see very often. But again, Wandy just gets the read on it and just doesn't fall for it. And it just, you know, maybe his opponent's just asking... there's that move again. His opponent might be asking, you know, like most of us do, a nice spin, though. And that might be the move that catches Wandy. Because up until this point, people are probably just asking how you beat this guy. Like, how do you get past? Good overhead riposte, though. Oh, and a stab, and now they're both 1 hit from death, and all of a sudden, it's basically 1 hit away from winning the grand final. Catching that spin. If MK does those too much, Wandy may start to get familiar to them, so he may need to... Oh, going for the kick, and MK doing a really good job of turning away to not fall for it. Very close now. 1 hit might end this fight. And Wandy with the Axel slash, and that will be it. 7-1 to Wandy. And he was absolutely imperious in this draw. My word, he lost 1 fight in the entire bracket, which is actually what happened with our previous 2 grand finalist winners in the previous bracket. So a trend here. 1 player clearly shining through. Really well played, Wandy. Fantastic stuff. Once again, we have completed the 3rd and last qualifier for the 2nd EU Trial by Blood, which means that we now have all our finalists, fingers crossed, for the grand finals, the final bracket, which will take place, I believe, next Sunday. Is that right, Bubble?
Yeah, we certainly do.
Yes.
Yeah, this is all just a warm-up, a prequel.
Yeah. Now the real test begins. Yeah. My word, like, I feel for these players. They've had to work so hard just to earn a spot in the finals, so you know that everyone who's there has earned their place and will be the class of the field. So yeah, I think we'll see some... If you enjoyed what you saw so far, viewers, hang around for next week, because it'll only get better. Many thanks to everyone who supported us, and again, we really appreciate your contributions and your support. Say, without you guys, we couldn't do what we could with the community, and we couldn't have events like these. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.